This episode of the Empty Netters podcast is brought to you by the cool, crisp, refreshing taste of LABATT Blue Light. Without a doubt, the best beer to enjoy while you're watching hockey around the rink, hanging at the house on your couch, doesn't matter because every single pint, bottle, and can of LABATT Blue Light is brewed with Canadian kindness. So every time you're sitting back and enjoying, you're going to feel nice and tingly inside. You're going to just feel happy because that's what LABATT Blue Light does for you. It is the best friend of hockey in the beer game, and it is the best friend of the Empty Netters boys because there is no beer that matches that unbelievable taste, that light, crisp, bubbly sip that you enjoy every single time you sit back with a LABATT Blue Light. So whether you're watching at home, whether you're at the game, doesn't matter. Hockey season requires LABATT Blue Light because it is a National League beer. Get on board and enjoy. Ice is ready, and we are back with another episode of the Empty Netters podcast, freshly back from Toronto and All Star weekend. Chris is sick.
Sick as a dog.
Blake is dripped out. I'm still buzzing a little bit. Just an unreal week. So much going on. So many cool things to talk about. What a blast.
One uncool thing to talk about.
Uh-oh.
Air Canada.
Man, I hate to be part of the pile-on.
Yep.
And I will say this. I almost respect it, dude. Air Canada and Toronto Pearson just are so...
Hey, Pearson did me just fine.
I agree. Pearson was fantastic.
Yeah, Pearson's security guard was wicked nice to me.
Air Canada, everyone, when you talk about flying to Canada and you're like, yeah, blah, blah, I'm going to Canada, people go like this, oh, did you fly Air Canada? Everyone says it's shitty, Canadians included. And yeah, we just got a hilarious Monday night. We were all getting packed up, getting ready. The three of us get a text, hey, your flight's been canceled.
At 11 p.m.
Oh, my
My flight is at 7 a.m.
Yeah, and it's international, so I got to be there at 5.
Unexpected
Tell
plane
them your theory.
maintenance.
Tell them your theory.
This is not a theory. I know it
Tell
to be
them what
true.
happened.
So we're scheduled to be on a 7:40 a.m. flight. We all log in, check in, go to pick our seats, and we are picking seats. The plane is empty. Every single seat is available. And what's really funny is when you're clicking seats, like I click an I not a comfort plus, not first class. I'm a man of the people. I'm sitting in an economy, but I'm gonna pick an aisle, and I click it, and it's like $90. And I was like, what? It's just a random seat.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, maybe maybe I'll just go further back in the plane. Still $90.
Yeah.
Then I click a middle, $75.
Yeah.
And literally the only way that they're not charging you to pick your seat is if you just go, I'm not going to pick my seat. Put me wherever you want. And I will not accept that.
Air Spirit, dude.
Yeah. I will not accept a middle seat. So I pay my $180 to pick my seats, which aren't even special seats.
Yeah.
Then the flight gets canceled. Within minutes, they text us and say that they're going to rebook us and put us on a new plane. They do. They put us on the noon flight, which is then packed to the gills, every single seat filled. My theory, which I know to be true, is Air Canada sees that the 7:40 a.m. flight is just not full enough, which is why they're gouging us and making us pay $180 to pick a seat. And they go, there's enough seats available on the noon flight to accommodate everyone on this 7:40 flight. We're just going to cancel
Unexpected maintenance.
Yep. And just smush you onto this one so we don't.
Where I received a middle in row 38.
Dude.
And did I get that 180 back?
Where's that $180 go?
Because I sure didn't.
Fucking bullshit.
Also, flight home, totally actually not even fine in the air. Partly wasn't their fault. Bad turbulence. It is what it is. But we did, it's always longer going back west. We did a lot of looping. We looped Denver. We looped LA. I felt like I was in that plane for 20 hours. But that plane itself, the one we took to Canada was like
Beautiful.
3 aisle 3 aisle 3 is a big plane.
Beautiful.
This plane
Dude.
was standard 3 aisle 3, but then
Chris,
the oldest plane.
That plane was built by the Wright brothers.
Dude.
It was unbelievable. It was an absolute piece of shit. I was sitting in a straw chair. My back is killing me still from that. The worst part about that, Frankie Vetrano and his wife and new baby were on the plane with us, sitting in first class.
We weren't sitting there.
First class.
Yeah.
I felt so bad for him. I'd be pissed at the Ducks. I'd be like this, you booked me on this rickshaw to get back. Like, this is unbelievable.
The screen was so old that it was like, it sounded like the old dial. It was like, like as I was like loading the movies on the thing, you'd hit it, like
operating
4
with
seconds would
Windows
go by,
94.
then the screen would change and like hit 4 seconds go out.
Did you have the misplacement thing going on?
Yes,
I
dude,
was
you
trying to
hit
like hit pause. You didn't watch anything, right?
No, I just had my phone.
I'm trying to hit shit on the screen, Blake. Like, I'm hitting play, pause, this and that. And you hit the screen, and it would be a full inch and a half to the side where it would register. So I'd be like trying to hit play, and I'd have to go all the way here to like rewind and hit, and then it would light up on play. And I was like, what the fuck is going on?
Those things have always been janky. Like, I remember
Awful.
when Air Canada first implemented TVs in every headset or in headrest, and everyone was like, oh, this can be crazy. They've sucked ever since
they
they
never
Oh my
changed it.
God.
implemented,
Brutal.
and they've never improved them.
Brutal. But they
I
did
have
get us
a
there.
worse experience on a flight that didn't involve Air Canada. Directly behind me,
We're
was
just
a
Oh, yeah, yeah.
screaming- So this is the flight home. We're all like, long weekend, banged up. It's been
Yep.
been a good time.
Yep.
But it's not a lot of sleep. And I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna sleep this whole flight. Like, I'm gonna get caught up a little bit here. And I got woken up 6 different times.
Yep.
To a screaming, not just a crying kid,
Yeah.
a fucking howling kid, and that was way too big and way too old
Yes.
to be screaming and that out of control.
Yeah.
Like, and just literally kicking the fucking seat. And I remember getting woken up to like my head going forward and just being like, no, I'm not sleeping. So I just started watching a TV show and movies, but even that, like, even the guy next to me was like just shaking his head. Like,
Yeah, so mad.
clearly pissed.
It was
and, like,
brutal, dude.
People looking back.
I could second that hard. This child was far too old to be howling. Well, excuse me. The child was far too old to be howling the way that it was, with the parents doing nothing. Like, the dad just stood up and was holding her and was just, trying to bop her around. And I was like, dude, if my 3-year-old was bansheeing this plane to death.
Sleeper lock, dude.
Oh, dude.
Boom.
I would have sat
Go
her
to sleep.
down and
You
been
go
like
to
this,
sleep.
Shut your fucking mouth, kid.
Yep.
Are you kidding me? If it's a baby and a infant that has no control, this girl, little French girl too, is just boo-hooing, wah-wahing in French. And she was doing the thing where she'd stop because she forgot why she was throwing a fit, and would kind of like look around and then realize that her dad wasn't paying attention to her anymore, and then would look back and start screaming again.
Yeah.
And
I
was
thought
like,
eventually she was going to tire herself out, but there was a span of 2 hours
easy,
where
2.5,
it didn't stop.
easy.
Just hit it with the oxygen mask.
Like,
dude.
it was insane.
Open the fucking emergency door and fire her into
We got
the
parachutes on this
Pacific
pig.
Ocean, dude. Awful.
Oh no, the door fell off.
Yeah.
Oh, God, it's brutal. But
All right,
listen,
Let's hit some highlights from All Star.
unbelievable trip. I said to you two last week's episode that I want to go on this trip, and I want to come back going, I absolutely love Toronto and the people of Toronto, and that
Check.
is-
Check.
that I'm not just saying this to do a classic tire pump. That is the truth. 12 out of 10.
Yep.
So much fun in that incredible city with incredible people, and how sick was it being in a mecca of hockey city. Going there, when we sat down to dinner on Tuesday night, we landed, shout out King Taps, and just seeing hockey on every TV and hockey fans coming up to us every 5 seconds. I was like, this is the best, dude. Like, we all know that hockey is the best sport in the world.
Yep.
And the U.S. just not being privy to that or embracing that is so frustrating. So being somewhere like that where everyone just fucking rides or dies for hockey was so awesome.
Amazing.
Unbelievable.
It was surreal to be. I mean, just for me personally to be back there, but just that city, I love it to
It's
death.
fucking awesome, dude. Huge shout out to BetMGM.
Unbelievable experience.
That's got to be, one of the big highlights for us, doing this phenomenal roundtable Legends event with BetMGM Canada at Steam Whistle Brewing, hanging out with our guy Chelly and then Ray Bork and Wendell Clark, doing this unreal panel. Those guys just showed up and dominated. Were so funny, so into it, and told the best stories ever. Couldn't have had a better time with them, and it was just such a good event. I mean, all the prep that goes into it. You get stressed with some of this stuff. You get excited. There's tons of anticipation. And then for us to get there, knock it out of the park because of those guys and because of the people that we worked with, that was just so cool. Can't wait for all of you guys to see the clips that we're going to release of that. And more than anything, to the people, to the, hundreds of people who showed up. You're the best. I mean, coming to that event, sitting down, listening to the stories from those guys, supporting us, supporting them, it meant the absolute world to us, and it was so cool.
Incredible experience, truly. You said it very well. Thank you so much to the people that messaged and the people that came.
Yeah.
I can't say enough good things about those guys. We'll get clips on our page. We'll direct you to, I think it's going to be on BetMGM's YouTube, so you can watch the whole thing. Could not be worth your hour more, in my opinion.
My gosh. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, and I think stick taps go to you guys.
Wow.
You guys did a really good job at, like you always do, really they're not just a guest. They become a friend before you even hit record, before you even sit down. And then also when you guys were, in the recording and in the live panel, the execution was just top to bottom, bar none.
Thank you so much. Seriously, it went great.
It was awesome.
So massive one there.
Massive one there. Next shout out I want to give is the Gretzky basement.
Boom. Dan's got the shirt on.
Yeah, I'm rocking the shirt.
I got a Gretzky
hat.
backyard hat.
What a cool setup. Shout out Ty and Tristan Gretzky. You guys just knocked that out of the park. All the people that they worked with to help set that up, all of the apparel. But basically, if you guys haven't seen it, pop onto our Instagram, watch the video where we're giving the tour. They recreated Wayno's dad's basement with tons of memorabilia from Wayne's playing days. The first stick he used when he scored his first NHL goal, all of his jerseys, Team Canada jackets. It was just a cool mini walkthrough Hall of Fame of Wayne.
Yeah.
And the coolest part for me was the family vibes. There were so many cool family photos with Walter Gretzky, the kids, and it was just such an awesome experience for them to set that up for all of the people, all of the fans to come through, see all of that stuff, get to meet them, and then especially to the boys for setting up the podcast room that they let us use. They got tons of people in there. The Chicklets boys were in there. Missing Curfew guys were in there. We did so many amazing shows, and later in this episode, we're going to kick it to our interviews with Bobby Ryan and Nick Kypreos. Such a good time with those guys, but that whole ordeal, just being there, getting to hang with them, see what they did, see it all come together, because it was so cool. As they said, Wayne, all Wayne did was give them permission.
Yeah.
They were like, hey, we have this awesome idea. Can we do it? And Wayne was like, fuck yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Grab the stuff from the old house, grab the stuff from the basement, everything that we have, throw it together, and God almighty, did they knock it out of the park.
It looked beautiful. It really did.
Sick.
Everybody that we talked to in Toronto that got to go was one of the first things they brought up of how sick it was. And I think we said this on the Daily Faceoff show with Laz, but I was like, it is crazy to me how old Wayne's early shit is. Like, it makes no sense.
Isn't that nuts, dude?
When they're like, this is
some of the skates, the sticks.
Bro, and like some of them I get when they're like, here's his baby skates, right? And I'm like, of course, yeah, those are old as shit. But they're like, this stick,
the Titan
scored an NHL goal with, and I'm like,
it's a 50-pound wood stick, and I'm like, Jesus Christ,
fuck,
dude.
you use that, dude?
Yeah.
So yeah, that was wild. The Gordie Howe jersey story with the stitch up this jersey, the W jersey. Yeah, so they crushed it.
That old Oilers jacket, I think, was my favorite piece in there. Dude. Or maybe the All Star jersey from '94 too. That thing was legendary.
Yep.
I mean, just the overall look and feel of it all. Like when you walk in, it was so intimate and they really felt like they recreated the vibe.
Totally
amazing.
And then last big shout out for me. NHL.
Yeah, well, let's make it a 2-for-1. CCM.
Yep.
Our boys at CCM were dapping us up all over the place. We did a Hall of Fame experience, which was fucking so cool. Interactive games there, and a CCM skate at Riverdale Park, not Rosedale. Lucas.
Shout out our boys Lucas and Noah at CCM for just crushing all of that, getting us with some great gear, and just setting us up with ODR skate, the Hall of Fame tour, just taking care of us and being such a cool group of people. Can't wait to do more stuff with them. That's just such an awesome relationship, awesome people. And then NHL, have to shout out my boy Neil at NHL Social. They set up that creator skate, and it was the first time doing it. And they said that. They were like, let's see how this goes. Who knows? What a smashing success that was. So fun. So many cool creators getting to do it with our boy Johnny Laz. Seeing our boys Zach Bell, Swaggy P, Sterling, meeting guys like Blake Johnston, Nasher,
Team Cap.
Yep, Team Cap, Nasher, and then Barber and all of those guys. Seeing Nelly there, it was
Yeah,
just such
that
a
was
cool collection of people in this hockey world that all loves each other, supports each other. Playing in that game, so fun. And won't lie, just a little tire pump moment. That was kind of cool.
That was one of the coolest
surreal.
experiences
Like,
of my life.
Yeah.
getting a NHL All Star jersey with our names on it, and then playing in a game with like tons of people watching. I was like, this is nuts, dude. Like, we're playing at the All Star
Incredible.
game, So
Incredible.
so cool, and just so much love to the NHL and that whole team for setting it up, letting us be a part of it. Unbelievable time.
Yep.
I can't believe how far all of this has come and how inclusive everyone has been to bring us into some of these events. And just, we went there and we talked about on the flight there, and as we we're getting prepped, we had so much to do, which is unbelievable. Such a great feeling. But nerves come with that as well, wanting to do a good job, wanting to make sure we deliver. And the amount of fun that we were able to have, the laughs that we had, great memories, that was just a trip for the ages, man.
Unbelievable, dude.
Unreal stuff. Just so happy about it. Like we said, we've got a great episode today with Bobby and Nick. We want to get you guys right into that. But the NHL doesn't sleep.
Yeah, just
we're
a couple
on
news
the
items.
All-Star break, but we got a couple quick hitters that we got to get to in hot ice, so we're going to pop into that. Let's start right off the bat with what has been brewing for a while. Todd McLellan,
Yep.
LA Kings, fired.
The only thing I thought that was interesting is we had all said if they lose on the Wednesday before the break to the Predators, he will get fired. And they won. The Kings beat the Predators. And he was still fired, which makes me wonder how long ago they knew he was getting fired at the All-Star break. I have no data on that. I don't know if you do, Blake, but I highly doubt the day he got fired, they were like, yeah, let's do it. Like, they had that decision today. Like, I would be willing to bet up to like a week ago into this end of this skid, they were like, we're going to gas him at the break. It's cleaner that way, whatever.
Yeah, I think, and no, I do not have any direct intel to the team or anything like that. If anything, this is all speculation from myself personally, or what I've heard from different media outlets or writers. They definitely kind of had the idea that they were going to fire him probably before that Nashville game, because they win that Nashville game. But if you really look at that game, and I didn't watch it or anything, watch the condensed game, check out the box score and everything, but it clearly looked like they didn't play very well.
Yeah,
like their fourth line scored 3 of the 4 goals. The fourth goal was an empty netter.
Yeah,
David Riddick made like 40 saves of 42 shots. Like,
yep.
They had no business winning that game. But I think the decision was made, I got to think, either right before the Colorado game or right after. Because that Colorado game was coming off the heels of the Kopitar night when they lost to Buffalo.
Yep.
And then they go into Colorado, which, big game, big opponent, but, you got to show up. And they did not show up.
That was post Dewey's comments, too.
Yeah.
Right, because
right
he had said that, and then they get absolutely buried.
Dewey's comments was right after the Buffalo game.
Yeah.
And they go into Colorado,
Get
lose. I think,
cranked.
Boom, dude.
And I think it's,
Call was
look
made.
at the way they made the move. Like I said the other week, well, they need to have someone that they're ready to bring in. And they promote Jim Hiller, who's a great coach, but, first time being a head coach, promote him to interim head coach. And it kind of just seems like we said, like Dan said, like they needed a change. It was like, you know what, someone's got to wear it, and this is the easiest move without making a trade or So I think, it was probably decided well before, and they were just doing the courtesy of, look, we're going to let you go at the All-Star break.
It's tough, too, because, there's so many people who are like, this is bullshit. It's not Todd's fault. It's not this. It's not that. And there's an element of truth of all of that, absolutely. But like we talked about, it was the same thing with Jay. It's the easiest axe to swing. And unfortunately, man, if you're the Sharks and you're losing games like this, whatever, dude. Whatever. If you have this much talent on your team, if you make that huge trade for PL and PL's not performing, absolutely, there's an element of that's on PL, on the locker room, on the leaders there. But, dude, you are the coach. You're the coach for a reason. You have this much talent. You were doing so well. Now you're not. I don't think it's all Todd's fault at all. I think Todd's a great coach, but it is the easiest axe to swing, and I do just have to say sometimes it's like, and it is an axe that you need to swing. So you hate seeing someone lose their job, absolutely, but a change had to be made. And I think Blake knows, not you, I think Rob Blake knows that he's not safe either.
Yep.
He's already made some comments where he's like, I know a lot of this is on me. I wouldn't be shocked if they don't, in these next games, if they're not at least 5-5, I wouldn't be surprised if he gets axed too, because this is just, I think this is shocking for the Kings organization. I think they can't believe where they are right now.
Especially where they are in November.
And I will say, you know, without naming names, I do know that a lot of guys in that locker room are, you know, they're bummed. Love Todd, good guy, good coach. They knew something had to change. But I do know right now that they are antsy for a permanent hire.
Yeah.
Like they want to know who their long-term guy is. And that feeling has got to be interesting, you know, for players, especially a lot of the veteran players who maybe have 3-4 years left. Some of the new guys who have just signed long deals like PL, like Fiala. You definitely must be sitting there being like, dude, we are a great team. We have great players. I want a great coach. I want to know who is going to be our coach for the next 5 years. So hopefully they can figure that out for sure.
Love it. Okay, which trade do you want to do first?
I want to do the Lindy trade.
Okay. Second year in a row that the Vancouver Canucks are making All-Star weekend moves. We'll talk about this in maybe even with Bobby. Did we talk about this with Bobby? We've been talking about this a lot recently. It's crazy to me to think that Kuz gets sent away after 39 as a rookie. With what else went in that trade, Blake?
So it was a first, a fourth, Hunter Brustevich, who was a solid prospect, third-round pick last year, is lighting up the right-handed D-man, lighting up the OHL right now.
Lighting up the OHL
So
right now.
First, fourth, Hunter Brustevich,
Kuz,
and then another prospect. They got a haul.
A haul for a potential rental.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now, do I think because I had said on this very program, I had said a couple weeks ago, Kuz isn't playing this year as well as he was last year. I was kind of pitching it like, just imagine when he wakes up how fucking scary this team's going to be. Maybe they were like, I don't think he's going to wake up. Maybe they felt like rookie year was a fluke. So certainly on the performance level list year, and you guys know I fucking love Lindholm. I would have loved to see him on the Bruins. Mm-hmm. Do I think the Canucks got even better? Absolutely. Mm-hmm. That's that's a lot to give up, but cups are hard to get. And in my opinion, in every sport, you trade everything ever for championships in the immediacy. I don't care if it's like, oh, you're going to be bad for a couple years now, as long as you win. And I know it's no promise that they're going to win, but I'm like, as a GM, I'm like, go get it, dude. You don't know when you'll have these chances. So I think that was great. The big question that we have said many times is something must be going on to trade that much and not know. So either it could be, we know Lindholm signing. Don't worry. Like we've had a conversation. Or it's, we know Petey's leaving. So we need, there's something going on, but I just refuse to believe this just in a vacuum was like, we're giving up all that for Lindholm and just to see.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? I think Andrei Kuzmenko is a great player. And I think that he is having a little bit of a sophomore slump. He's obviously an older player, but he was in the KHL, came over, shit on the league to the tune of 39 goals, 74 points or something like that. Had an amazing season. Has had some struggles this year, absolutely. I truly do think it's a lot of teams, guys have tape on him now. I think he's just trying to find himself. I think he'll be a great player still, but this is obviously an improvement. Lindy is having a better season right now. I found it interesting that your big piece that you moved in your top 6, top 9 was a winger, and you bring in in my opinion, a pretty certified center in Lindholm. Lindholm's 29 years old. Has he turned 30 yet? I think he's still 29. Either way, he's 29, 30. I think he's going to be phenomenal with this team.
Me too.
I think the best year of Lindholm's career that we saw was when he was playing with Gaudreau and Tkachuk and some of these bigger boys back in Calgary.
He's 29.
29, yep. And now you're putting him on this team that is, quite frankly, stacked.
Yeah.
You look at their first line that's most often right now, JT Miller with Pius Suter and Brock Besser. Now you've got Petey, Lindholm in that second line. I think they could both go center, wing, flop back and forth.
This is fully accurate.
No, but Petey's played some wing this year. I think Lindholm can absolutely play wing, but they're stacked now. I think this is a monster trade. I think it makes them better. And yeah, they're going all in.
Yep.
And I love that. I think Talk is having an unreal coaching season. He's probably going to win the Jack Adams. These guys have been good wire to wire. I love their defense. I love their offense even more now. To go to what you just said, the thing that we're all asking is they gave up a fucking shit ton, an absolute haul to get this guy. They got Lindholm and they gave up a lot.
Yep.
They gave up, like you just said, a great player who's having a down year, who is young. They gave up a unbelievable prospect, another player, a first-round pick, and a conditional fourth-round pick. So you're giving up that much for a guy who is UFA this summer. That usually, to me, feels like we've had conversations, he's going to extend here. If he doesn't, I'll be shocked. I will be truly shocked. That will be a wild trade for a rental. In hopes you would think of, we need to win the cup right now.
Yeah, I think this move could backfire. It has the potential to backfire big time.
It does if this happens.
Well, if Jimmy Rutherford and Canucks management, there's still a lot of work to be done.
Yes.
A lot of work.
To
because
me,
their cap situation does not get much easier.
No, it does not. To me, this trade very possibly could be addressing the Pettersson rumors.
Yep.
It could be here's a great center. He's a point per game guy. He's 29 years old. That's at least 5 years of solid hockey left. Is that the same thing as Elias Pettersson? Obviously not. But you have a guy who, if it sounds like he's going to resign, is a great player who's interested in staying with your franchise for a little while. We are coming to the point where we see guys don't really get to UFA anymore. It's rare that you, especially a guy who's like 25, 26. What did we figure out? PD's 26 years old.
Like that.
You don't see that guy hit UFA really ever anymore. So if you have a chance to get a 29-year-old Lindholm who wants to stay for 6 more years or something like that, yeah, go get it. But holy shit, man, it'll be crazy stuff for this organization to see if you make this big trade for Lindholm, maybe extend him, and then we're looking at the possibility of, cup or not, a big trade of Pettersson, which would bring in a king's ransom, in my opinion. If you were to trade Pettersson, we talked about it recently, Pettersson is going to sign a Willie Nylander comparable contract.
Yeah, now he's getting 7.3 as a 25-year-old 6'2" centerman
who had over 100 points last year. He has outperformed Nylander in the last couple of years. He's having a comparable year to Nylander
Hardest
now.
shot I've ever seen in my life.
He's younger than Nylander. He has a cannon.
Yeah.
This guy's getting $11.5 million. Absolutely. So if you trade him, especially while he's RFA, you're getting a Mitch Marner type player back. You're getting probably 2 first-round picks back. Yeah.
I almost think they do that.
My question is, you're saying this could backfire. This could backfire in this. They get Lindholm, they don't win the cup, Lindholm doesn't re-sign, and Pettersson is like, trade me.
They lose in the first round, Lindholm signs as a free agent somewhere else.
That's the ultimate backfire. I don't think that's going to happen.
What if they lose in the first round, they sign Elias Pettersson before the deadline here, they get him extended, but then they go and they lose in that first round, and then
and Lindholm leaves?
No. You got Lindholm now, but then Petey's like, I'm out of here.
You meant you signed Lindholm.
Yeah, I meant you signed Lindholm.
I don't think that's a backfire, dude.
No?
Losing Pettersson is brutal, but given that he's RFA, if Pettersson goes, I'm gone, dude, as a fan of the Canucks, I'm saying, if you're a fan of the Canucks, that's devastating because you're losing Elias Pettersson. But you're not getting nothing for him. In fact, you are getting something insane for him, is what I would assume.
Another name that people are not talking about that is RFA this summer, Philip Hronek. Quinn Hughes' defense partner.
Yes.
That guy is going to get paid. He's 26 years old. He's putting up 36 points in 49 games this year. He's going to hit a career high. His previous career high is 38 points. He's having a breakout year.
Yes.
He's going to get paid.
He is. I think he was so hot, dude, early.
Yeah.
He was playing point per game pace, I think 25 games into the season. Obviously playing with Quinn does a lot for that. And I was like, holy fuck, dude, this guy is going to get cheddar right now. But now I think there's a world where Hronek, almost like Taves in Colorado, is seeing a situation where he's like, I'm playing the best hockey of my life. A big part of that is because I'm playing with Quinn. I imagine Taves is like, and I think Taves is maybe a little bit better than Hronek, but I think he's like, dude, I'm dominant right now, but it certainly doesn't hurt that I play with Kale all the time.
Yeah.
So
Like Hughes is on like one of the best contracts.
Yeah, dude.
7.8.
It's crazy.
Philip Hronek's 4.4 cap hit right now. Gotta say that goes to 7. I think that's
yeah,
fair.
I think it's going to go to 6.
6, 7. Like
And 6, dude, if you lock him up, how old is he?
he's
28?
26 right now.
20, oh, he's 26? Yeah,
Yeah.
like you give him a 8x6,
Yeah, that's money.
and you have those two for a very long time,
What a bargain.
you're
That-
thrilled.
Yeah.
You're absolutely thrilled. But yeah, that's just something that we'll keep an eye on because the I think it makes them better, no doubt.
Yep.
And I love that they've gone all in. But what's interesting about this one is it's going to be really fun to watch the Canucks right now and be like, holy fuck, great trade. They're going for it. And then there's also the added element of, I can't wait to see what happens.
Yeah.
Because let me tell you what, dude, if he resigns, if he extends, I think the PD stuff gets even hotter.
I know.
So we'll see. Now let's go to the other huge trade. Sean Monahan added by the Jets. Feels very much like a big-time response trade. You saw one of, if not the best team in the West, make a huge trade. The Jets went like this.
Fuck
Boom.
you. We're in an arms race, dude.
We hear you. We're in an arms race. We'll match it. They get Sean Monahan. That's a great addition. Going to be probably their second-line center. He's having a phenomenal year. Insane situation, too. What was he making? 1.9 mil?
Yeah, 1.9, and so Montreal got him, like took him from Calgary.
Yeah.
It's a cap dump, so they got a first-round pick in that trade, and now they're trading him for a first-round pick.
And a
So-
third, right? Or a
And,
conditional
and a
third,
conditional third. Yeah, so that what a move by Kent Hughes.
Yes,
Two
dude.
First-round picks? That's crazy.
Wait, what are the full details of that trade?
So first-round pick and a third-round pick, which is conditional if Winnipeg wins the Stanley Cup.
And that it turns into a first.
Sorry, no. They get the third-round pick if they win the Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
But, so they're getting
Oh,
a
you
first.
talking about the previous
Yes.
Monahan trade?
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
Let me pull that one.
Yeah, because I was like 2 first-round picks. What the fuck are you talking about?
Yep.
But either way,
well, while
this
he's-
trade,
Go on.
just to get a first-round pick for Monahan is unbelievable work, dude.
Okay.
Like
I
this
agree.
guy, again, making 1.9 mil, you were kind of like, oh, let's see how he does. He's playing great, and then you flip this for a first and a conditional third. Like that's such a good return for them. Like it's and I mean it for both. Like we always talk about, the Jets are fucking buzzing. I don't need your 28th overall first round pick. Go get Monahan. Add up your chances to win a Stanley Cup here.
So I agree. Right now, he's on pace for 58 points this year. And similar to who'd you just say? Oh, Lindholm. Monahan's got that year in Calgary where he went for 82. In the 2018-29 season, he had 78 games, 82 points. Unbelievable season, 34 tucks. Other than that year, he is very much like a low 60s point
Yeah,
guy.
I think he's a 60-point guy.
Yeah, and like, dude, I love the Jets. But I love this move. I just said trade whatever you got to do to make yourself better. But I can't believe they got a first for this.
Dude, that's the market. It's crazy.
58 points,
I'll
dude.
tell you what, man. I fucking love 60, 70-point guys.
Me too, but I don't give
I
up
just think
first
they're
for them.
so underrated, and like that's what wins you Stanley Cups.
I know.
is those
I
types of
know,
guys.
I know,
Like
I know.
you know who doesn't win you Stanley Cups? The 140-point guy. Like it's not a guarantee. I would rather take a team of 65-point guys fully,
Yeah.
and I just love the depth, dude. I think he's a great player.
Me too. It's a great
all
pickup.
around.
Great pickup.
Huge pickup.
And you paid, I guess I'm saying you paid too high of a price, but I'm also arguing that I'm like, pay it, dude, whatever.
Well, I think that Calgary trade set the market.
Yeah, right.
Like that. What did the trade happen?
But you know what?
The
That
next day, right?
you're absolutely right. But at the same time, that was always the market. Like we talked
Yeah.
every fucking Sunday when we do Hockey Talk Sundays. People go Elias Lindholm to the Bruins. Elias Lindholm to the Bruins. Everyone thinks that the Bruins need a center, and they're not wrong. And I said every time they cannot afford him. Reports came out after that trade. Were the Bruins involved? Yes, they were. They were interested in him. They love Lindholm. They asked, and obviously Calgary went, we need a first-round pick. And Boston went, we can't give that, which is what I've been saying this whole fucking time.
Yep.
So we knew that a first-round pick was going to be included in that. Now, what we didn't know was Hunter being involved, who's having a dominant year in junior. Kuzmenko, who's having a bad year, but is a good player.
potential.
Like, there was a lot involved there. But yeah, this does set the market. Very interesting now to look at. You'll hear me mention this when we're talking to John Scott. We're hearing rumors of Markstrom and Hanifin being sent to the Devils.
Yep.
This has been going on for weeks now. I've been eating fucking hot sauce for this take. But I think that is a very real possibility, and that's what they're trying to work on and figure out. What's the return going to be that? Is Nemec going to be involved in that? Is a first going to be involved in that? I think so.
Yep.
Probably. So
No,
that's...
Hannifin's going to the Leafs. What are you saying?
Yeah, buddy.
There you go. So, yeah, I just think first-round picks, like, this is what it takes.
Yep, agree.
So it's unbelievable.
All right, let's kick into these interviews.
Let's kick it to these unbelievable interviews. Seeing us hanging out in Gretzky's basement with Bobby Ryan, Nick Kypreos. You know, Bobby, good friend, beauty. We're launching a new little segment with him. That
Yeah, you guys are going to really like it.
And then Kipper, just what a fucking ledge of the game.
Oh, my God.
So awesome. So well-spoken. I loved his takes. Can't wait for you guys to hear it. Enjoy. Go hang out with us in Toronto. All right, we're coming to you guys live from Toronto at Gretzky's basement. Our good buddy Bobby Ryan is joining us. Had a little technical difficulties here, so we're going to just rip it again.
Hell yeah.
Bobby, tell us what you've been up to, dude.
Fuck. Oh, I feel like I had a couple good one-liners.
You
that
did,
are gone.
dude.
Yeah,
I'm
but
pissed.
no, not much. I get, like I said, retirement life's nice. You
Yep.
kind of pick and choose what you do. Doing my podcast a couple days a week with Brent Wallace and Jason York, and just dabbling in different things, right? And being able to pick and choose. I got engaged, so kind of doing the blending families of 4
Yep.
kids at
Yep.
5, 6, 7, and 8.
Yep.
Grind, and the weather's been terrible. Like -3, -4 in Nashville. So
It's insane.
yeah, so not able to do a whole lot, but
Yeah.
it's January, right? January's 50 days long. Nobody tells you.
Dude, nobody tells you that.
No,
it's
it's like-
ridiculous. We were at an ODR out here at Riverdale or whatever, playing a pickup shinny last night. And when we were outside the area, there were Christmas lights up everywhere. And our Uber driver was like, "I hate how the Christmas lights are still up." And I was like, dude, January is pretty fucking depressing, man. I don't mind a little cheer in my life.
I had
That's
the
what I was gonna
same
say.
thought. I was like, it feels like it's been 3 months since it was Christmas. It was like 25 days ago.
Yeah.
That's not that bad to have a Christmas light up still. That was
Absolutely
ridiculous.
not. My tree comes down on the 26th. Like, it's a hard come down.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, but I like the light, especially like Toronto. Man, they've had 30 days of sun this year. I'm like, I can light the whole world up, right?
We
Like,
saw that on the way here.
Yeah.
We were like, Jesus Christ, that's depressing as shit.
I landed and opened the window and just immediately closed the window. I was
Yeah,
like,
never mind.
Like, it's -3 in Nashville, but the sun's shining and it's gorgeous.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
was like, all right, no, like, leave them up. I would, like, those power lines right there should have twinkle lights coming down.
Dude, something.
That's for real. We just had an unbelievable weekend in LA. It was like 78 degrees every day, not a cloud in the sky.
Tough.
And then we came here, and I was like, Dave told us that 30 days of sunlight thing. And yesterday we did a little walk around. We went to like CN Tower.
Yeah, I saw that. You guys were on fire. huh?
And then the gray sky, I was like, man, it's a gray day. And Dave was like, that is every day right now. Like, Toronto is not a fun place right now.
No.
But we've got some fun shit going on. Obviously, All Stars going on. We were just saying last year we were in Fort Lauderdale. Now we're here. So many events, so much cool shit. So can you tell us a little bit about your All Star from 2015? Like, what's the coolest part about the players being here? Because it's a big vacation week.
It's a bender.
Like yeah.
It's a
And I just
bender.
know, like, we've learned over the last couple of years, it's pretty funny. Some of these guys, especially guys who've been named a million times,
Yeah.
are like, I don't want to fucking go. I want to go to Mexico with my family or the boys. Like, what makes it fun when you're here?
Well, we just said that too. We're like, the guys played last night. I was watching the Ottawa game in particular, and I'm like, these guys are going to fly home to Ottawa. They're going
Yeah.
to be on a 5 a.m.er right down to Florida or Cabo or wherever it's
Yep.
going to be.
Yep.
But the alternative is you get to come to Toronto where there's 30 days of sunlight.
Yeah,
in a
yeah,
year. I'm like, why would you? No,
Tough trade-off,
I
dude.
love Toronto, but why would you, right?
Yeah. Oh, my God.
I get it where the guys are coming from. I think it's fun when you get in the locker room and you got a lot of different personalities, and like, I had played against guys a ton.
Yeah.
But didn't really get to know that. You don't get to know.
Yeah,
You play against
exactly.
them and you say hi or whatever. So it was cool to like just sit on the bench, and like Kopi's a good buddy. When we played on a line together there, we played together in Sweden during the lockout. So like
sick.
It's awesome.
hanging with him, playing with him, just catching up with guys that, you're all in the same position in life. And Kopi and I being the same age, we were starting families and stuff back then. So
Yeah.
just shooting shit. And then you have a lot of beer, like a lot of
Yeah,
beer.
yeah.
Yeah, a couple late nights in Columbus when I was there.
Dude, we were joking around about last year. We don't need to sue anybody, but there were a few of the boys who we were doing events with, doing different shit with, getting buckled.
Oh, yeah.
And one of them in particular was buckled with us and was like, dude, I'm going to be hungover for skills tomorrow. And we were like, that's today. Like, that's tonight. And he was like, oh, fuck.
That sounds about
So then
right.
3 hours later, we're watching him buzzing around the ice. And we're like, this guy's hammered right now. This is unbelievable.
I remember my first night in Columbus. I was out with a couple buddies, and I won't name them either, but we were one of them had played in Columbus. So he's like, yeah, we're going to go to this place. And we stayed, and I was like, God, it feels late. What time's the last call? And he's like, 3 hours ago. And I was like, wait, what? He's like, yeah. I was like, no wonder. This place has been cleared out for a minute, eh?
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Place is dead, bro.
Yeah.
He's like, it's been closed for 3 hours.
I look at the clock when I get in. It's like 6:10 in the morning. I was like, yeah, that's going to be a long one. It's gonna be a long one.
Yeah.
And I got to do shooting accuracy, so I'm just like kind of closing one eye, trying to hit
the middle target.
Yeah, pick the middle one.
Dude, is there any element of, there's a lot of guys like in division who are playing on the same team as you during this shit? Is there any element of guys that you have been a little chippy with or maybe not the best blood with that you're all of a sudden playing and doing these fun events with?
It's kind of weird how the guys separate that.
Okay.
Like for me, I had a tough time with that, and I can't remember at the All Star game anybody in particular, but like when you would see guys out or when you would see them in the summer and you cross paths, like I had a really weird time separating the two. Most guys don't. Most guys are fine with all of it. And you just, obviously everybody has a beer and everything goes away and you're like, yeah, I'll see you on the ice and we're going to hate each other in October. But no, there's definitely none of that at the All Star game because I think it's guys that are all Stars. Right?
Yeah, sure.
Right, the better players that, outside of Brady, I don't think any of them fight too often. So
true.
Brady's got a pretty punchable mug. So if anybody's going to fight at the All Star game, it would be him.
Yeah, no doubt.
So, no, it kind of goes away pretty fast.
Yeah.
And but you're saying it was easier for you at All Stars even compared to summer.
Yes.
Like you see someone summer and you're kind of like, dude, I
Yeah.
don't fuck with you. But at All Stars, you're like, whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. You just put it all away for this.
I feel like it's one of those things
right.
too. It's like, you play against somebody, and it's not even necessarily bad blood, but if you're just like, I fucking hate this team, we've lost a couple of bad ones, and then you do sometimes get those moments where you meet them and you're like, oh, you're just a good guy, and it's like it goes away pretty quick.
It's brutal when they're a good guy too.
It's awful.
I'm
dude.
supposed to hate you, man.
It sucks.
What do you mean? You collect wine too, or whatever? Like,
right. You
you're a
bonded.
good golfer. Fuck.
Yeah, dude. It happens with us even with just being fans. Like, you meet someone of a team that I'm like, I've lost to you guys. The team I love lost to you in the cup. Fuck you. And then you meet them and they're so nice, and you're like, oh, you're just a good dude.
Yep.
It sucks.
I gotta recalibrate here.
You're a good family guy.
Man, you treat people well. Fuck you.
Who being from Maine? Were you guys Boston guys?
Yeah, Boston guys. Yeah. I mean, we're from southern Maine.
Yeah.
That it's like 45 minutes away from the city, and
You're that close, eh? Okay.
Yeah. Like, when we were born, we initially lived just outside of Boston. So it's like that's been ingrained forever.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, man, we say it all the time. I mean, definitely still a Bruins fan, but now doing this and you make friends all over the league. It's just so hard to watch games now and not be like, hey, I really want you to beat this team because a good friend is on that team. So now you're just kind of like,
I'm the same way.
Yeah.
People have asked me since they're like, who do you, and I grew up a Flyers guy, right?
Yeah.
From Philly. So, and Bobby Clark and my dad are still good friends and, grew up around him. So
Totally.
I always veer towards them. But now it's to the point where like, is it Ottawa? Is it Detroit? Is it Anaheim? Because I played in those three places. I'm like, none. I kind of just cheer for guys now. Like, I'll turn on a game and I'm like, oh, Kopi's playing. Or, I watch more Sens games because I cover them. But I find myself, I'm like, Chabby's playing, so I'm rooting for Chabby more than the team.
Yeah.
If you're going to lose 4-3, I hope Chabby has 1 and 2.
Yeah, for sure.
And then if you're in Ottawa, you stay on the plus side of things for a night.
Yeah. It's so
not
real.
to eat the minus.
Yeah, absolutely. With some of the stuff they're doing this All Stars with like the new skills thing, right? Like everyone competes in everything. Guy gets $1 million. Is that stuff effective getting players to want to come to the? Yes, it doesn't matter, right? Yeah.
No, trump it up any way you want.
They're like, whatever, dude. There's no answer there.
No, especially for the younger guys that have maybe been the one or their first. Yes, everything's attractive.
It's cool.
And you're like, this is cool. Like I went to my first and I was like, this is awesome. This is like a once in a lifetime thing. But it's such old hat for some of the guys that are 10, 12. They're like, I just want 5 days to myself.
Yeah,
Dude,
please.
Bobby, I was talking to someone the other day. I was like, when Sid makes this game, I'm like, there's no planet he wants to be here.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, he's the best and he's going to do everything and put on a good face, but he must be like, I am so disinterested in this shit.
You have to be.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah, and we talked about it before the show. Some guys just love the game so much that, that like they need to be around it. And it's like guys that are going to have to get carried out of the league.
Yeah.
About Corey Perry. And like, I'm like, just let the kids play, man.
Yeah.
It's like, he just keeps coming back. But some guy, but to me, like this experience is something that they have to be like, I've been there. I have every jersey. I'm done. I just want to move on. And, and at 37 years old, I guess I'm 36, so I think Sid is as well.
I think he is. Yeah, I think he's.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
He is.
I wouldn't want to be doing it.
Yeah,
yeah.
And it's like it's not a knock either. I mean, we always joke. You figure out the grind, dude, and it's like if you get 5 days off somewhere,
oh my
like
God,
that's a fucking dream.
Yeah,
and
it's a 2-day green light, 1 day rest, 2 days recover.
Yeah.
It's like,
dude,
I was cracking up like Jarvie. Like obviously we become buddies with Seth Jarvis in Carolina, and this is his breakout season. And when the fan vote came through, he had that funny interview where they were like, "Do you think you're?" And he's like, "Nope, I'm going to Mexico." I was like,
Tickets
"I get it, dude.
non-refundable."
yeah, exactly.
It's
Right.
such
So
a
good.
real feeling, dude. It's so funny.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah. Is there anything like? Because I almost think you guys should all get a break. Like I wish they just went like, "Hey, everyone gets a week off, reset."
Yeah.
But then, like the NFL does the Pro Bowl, right? And like the Pro Bowl is a clown show. Nobody goes, right? So like, I think this is probably the best case scenario. You just do it here, and you tough it out if you make it.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
It's the best case scenario.
Yeah.
And then I like the way that they structured it now, where the bye week is either before or after.
Yes.
For the most part.
Yeah,
So,
dude.
Totally.
These guys will still get a couple.
Yeah.
But is it worth it to go to Florida for 2 days when you got to jet right back to Carolina or wherever
Yeah.
it might be after this? It makes it tough. So
Yeah.
No, it's
I
brutal.
would imagine a lot of guys come here and then go right back to where they're playing and
Yeah.
just kind of sit there. But it's like if you live in a bleak city,
Yeah.
you're like, I need some sunlight.
I
need some vitamin D here.
Yeah.
I feel like an
So
alligator.
like if I'm in Calgary, I'm like this. No, I'm going to Florida for 2 days.
no,
Like, sorry.
No, you're ponying up the jet. Like, I'm taking a jet and I'm not waiting on traffic.
Where do you
Insane.
stand on the game itself? Because obviously there's tons of fans who are like, it's not competitive, it's not fun to watch, but it's like, I don't think these guys want to go out and fucking bang bodies for 60 minutes when they have a little bit of an off week. Do you think there should be some incentive of the game? It's like, what is baseball used to do, like home field advantage
think
in
so,
the World
yeah.
Series and shit like that?
I wouldn't mind that element. It's just, I guess the downside of this is like they've thrown money at the players that come here.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you're you're
Let
giving
it-
it to
let
the
it
guys
go.
that are all making 8. They don't.
Dude, I just said this. I was like, the guys that don't make it should get some money. Like they need it.
we were doing like a funny prop bet thing on like who's gonna win skills, and the guy who's making the least amount of money in the skills competition is Nylander, who just signed a
Technically,
fucking
yeah.
$11.5 million ticket. We're like,
So he's doing just fine.
he's doing a-okay.
Yeah.
Dude. So you're right. It's like when they throw the money, it's like, yeah, great incentive. But
What I like about I had this conversation last night with a friend. I would like to just see it go back to East versus West, and make that game mean something.
Yeah.
When you throw in the 3, and fans like 3-on-3 because it's open, and I
Yeah.
get that. But if
Yeah.
you made it a 4-on-4 East versus West,
Yeah.
with a little incentive, whether it's home ice advantage, whether it's whatever it might be,
Yeah.
you come up with that. Even if it's still financially motivated for players.
Sure.
In the conference, I just think there's ways to do it that would trump it out, because like 3-on-3 gets so stale for guys that have played it. You're just
Right.
like, we're gonna circle back again. We're gonna hinge again. We're gonna
Yeah,
do
yeah.
4 more drop passes before we
Yeah.
go 1-on-0.
Yeah, right.
Dude,
Or
great,
enter the
but-
zone.
Yeah.
last year when we were watching, it's in the second period when guys are just kind of cruising around. You just look around the stands, people are just having conversations,
Yep.
like eating and
Yeah.
drinking. I'm like, we're not even watching a game here. This is like a shinny game, right? now.
Yeah.
It's
It's
unbelievable.
exactly what it
Yeah.
is. Well, 3-on-3, and I think they got to scrap it as a whole.
Really?
Yeah. I don't.
Okay.
I would either rather see 3-on-3 extended to 5 minutes.
Okay.
Extended to 10 minutes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where you have to roll through the lineup, and
Yeah.
I think that you should have every player on the ice. How fucking great would it be to see some of these guys on the ice in 3-on-3?
Yeah.
Like,
Love that.
not to pick on him, but Ryan Reeves 3-on-3.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Yeah. There's plenty. Dude.
Like,
There's plenty.
I would love to see that, or just go right to this shootout and make it a 5-guy
Yeah.
shootout. And
No 3-on-3 at all.
Yeah,
Just like
go
bang right to it.
Yeah.
Several episodes we talked about this. They should do something. Like we were talking about taking away offsides. Like that would be
That'd be nice,
be
yeah.
super interesting if it was just a full pawn sheet and it was like go play 3v3.
Yeah, you just got one guy in each zone, kind of.
Right?
Yeah.
Because it is
funny.
the whole regroup element. I mean, it's one of those funny things where it's like, a couple of years ago, someone figured out if you regroup, it completely opens up possession in 3v3. And that's great. It's great someone figured that out. But it's like as these players figure out to kind of crack the code, the league needs to keep cracking the code too.
Exactly.
Like once that happened, it should be like this. All right, we're taking away
broke it,
offsides,
yep.
or we're doing like no clock. Someone has to fucking win, or something like that. So
Was it one of you guys that said a shot clock?
yes,
Yeah. Because I was
Yeah.
like, just let's get moving here.
Yeah.
Like I hate
Yeah.
the possession. Yeah.
It's so fun. Like I was watching the Detroit Ottawa game last night, Tarasenko started at the top of the circle and ended up behind his own net.
Dude.
And then they went down and scored. So again, they cracked the code.
Yeah.
But as soon as he turned around, I'm like, fuck.
That's not what I was here for.
Yeah.
When they pitched me 3-on-3, it wasn't for that.
That's like, you should be allowed 2 turnbacks and then you got to go.
Yeah.
Seriously, it's like to me, it's when you see it starting to get that buzzing back and forth.
That's when.
And then like someone gets it, and then they regroup and go. You're like, fuck, no, it was just getting good again. God damn it. So no, we need to go back. It's unbelievable.
Last All-Star question I have for you, because I was curious. Do you get to weigh in on who you want to play with, or does the coach like, here are the fucking lines?
I think you probably do if you've been through it a few times.
Okay,
I didn't. They're
Yeah.
like, you're playing with Stamkos and Kopitar. I was like,
Sounds good.
They're okay.
Yeah,
Seriously.
And
fucking what a
are
great
you
tragedy.
like how like did you want to get one so bad? Because you're like, I'm here, I gotta fucking get a tuck.
Truthfully, no.
Okay, yeah.
And like Kopi was like, "Hey, congratulations!" And I was like, like, and it was after I scored, but
Yeah.
the game was ending, and he's like, "I go what?" He goes, "You won the Selke tonight," and I was like, "Well, I had 1-1, not that bad, like pretty standard." He's like, "Yeah, I didn't score. You shut me down all night." I was like, what do you say to that? I was like, to be
All-time line.
I was like, "You're right. I looked you off quite a few times.
Yep.
I wanted one. Now that I think about it,
Yeah.
I was like, maybe I did want one too bad."
Yeah, you're right. I think I did.
Kopi's dry delivery too. That's
that
like, I
is
can
so
hear that
fucking
joke.
Yeah, he just the way he said it, I was like, I hate you.
Yeah, you're like, God
Great
damn it,
though.
dude. Oh,
Great
that's
dude.
beautiful.
Christ. Okay, so let's talk about the league a little bit right
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
I think the first one, unless you have a burning one, the first
No,
one
no.
I want to ask you about.
This kind of is my burning one.
Well, what do you think I'm going to say?
Are you starting with the Rangers?
No, but you can.
No, go.
The
with
first one I
yours.
want to ask you is, what are the Oilers doing? Are they the best team of all time, or are they too hot right now? Are they too hot too early? Like, what is going on in Edmonton?
They're peaking too early,
Yeah.
man. I'm like, I hope they all have a nice week off and then go through it a little bit again and
Yeah.
then peak again.
Yeah.
I do want to see them tie the. Are they one off or two?
One away, dude.
One away.
to tie. They need 2 to win it.
Okay.
And they've got a tough one. They're
Vegas.
going, I think going to Vegas,
Yeah.
and that's to tie it.
Then Ducks.
And then the Ducks. So
Okay, so that should be a walk of a game.
yeah,
And
if they get Vegas, they're going to break it, I
Yeah.
think. Like if they win that Vegas game, there's no way they're going to lose to the Ducks to not break the record.
Yeah.
I just hate that it came at the All Star break because it's like
Yeah.
nobody knows about that first game back. You have no
Yeah.
idea.
Yeah.
At least Edmonton's got some guys skating.
Yeah.
Here with is Draisaitl here too? I don't know.
I think so.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Josh.
yeah.
So they got the normal 2 here. They're skating and they're
Yeah.
not on a beach somewhere. So those guys will be a little more ready to go than
Yeah.
everybody else, and that is most of their offense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't know if Stuart Skinner can hang on to the way he's playing
Yeah.
all the way through. That's a big question mark. It's a shame that Jack Campbell's.
Yeah.
You hate to see it. Like
Totally.
everybody goes through it when when you're just not competitive enough, I guess, to be in the lineup. But if that kid, if Stuart Skinner is the answer and he continues to play this way, like they have to be the Stanley Cup favorites at this
Right?
point. I picked them early on,
Yeah.
so like I'm loving this.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
That's good. Yeah.
I still have my paperwork on the desk, and there's not a lot of paperwork on my desk, boys, but I got my picks.
That's all that's on the desk, just the
pretty
picks.
much it, yeah.
It is funny though. I mean, when you look at the West, I'm like, I feel like I look at them and Vancouver, and I'm
Yeah.
like, if you both keep pace, that's going to be a barn burner of a series if they eventually see each other.
I would kill to watch that series.
Oh my
Yeah.
god, dude!
Yeah.
Like if
the
you,
offense.
if it shakes out that that's the Western Conference Final, that would be fucking electric. Because like those two teams, again, if they stay playing like this,
Yeah.
that's one of the bigger coin flips you could ever imagine. Because Demko's playing well too.
Yep.
So if him and Skinner are both buzzing like that, the offenses are going like they are. That's just going to be like a Jesus Christ. I have no idea.
I'm really interested to see with the Lindholm trade how that
Dude.
Because like sometimes you insert another offensive player into what you have going on, and
Yeah.
it just doesn't work, and there's no rhyme or reason for it. It's like we had a really really elite offense. We added one more, and it's too many chefs in the kitchen kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Yep.
I don't think that'll be the case. He seems to be a guy that can just shoot the pill
Yeah.
and get to areas. So it's a big trade though. Like
Do you have any
big-
theories on
Okay.
that? Yeah.
So yeah, I'm curious what you think about that because I thought Lindholm was going to be a classic traded at the deadline, but a rental. I thought it was going to be a Patty Kane, Tarasenko deal, and then he was going to find his new home. That said, the haul feels too much for him to not have there to have not been a conversation that's like, I'm going to resign here. And it's crazy because like Lindholm's best year was with Johnny Hockey and Kachuk.
Yeah.
And now you're on Vancouver with, you've got PD, you've got Besser, you've got Quinn, you got JT.
yeah.
Like that is a team that he can thrive on. So I'm kind of now like, oh fuck, I think he's going to sign there. So curious what you think about that.
It just depends on the economics of it all, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Like none of them are locked up. Like is PD?
Yeah, that's what I was wondering.
The
if you
big
had a
one for
theory on.
me is,
Yeah.
holy shit, is this if he signs, is it PD might not be coming back?
Yeah.
I'm so curious and scared for Vancouver of that whole situation.
It's going to be interesting how it plays out.
Yeah.
But you don't trade the players that you traded with the pick that you traded with it
For a rental.
for a guy that you know is a rental. So there has to be something of, general managers do their homework and they're like,
Yeah.
this guy stay here. And obviously he lived in Calgary. He's pretty comfortable living in Vancouver. They're not the same, but they're close, right?
Yeah.
They're BC places. So there is that. I don't know. It's kind of like that first domino has to fall where one guy takes a little bit off the top of a contract and the next guy has to do it to say, hey, we all want to be here and win. But that's not usually the case. Guys want to get paid because we all know the window is pretty small, right? To get into our earnings. So it'll be interesting. I think he's going to make them better, which is scary.
Right. For sure.
And if Demko continues to play the defense, I think they need another defenseman for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But outside of that,
that Zadorov scoop was huge for them.
Yeah.
And I agree. Like if they get a, third pairing, just like lockdown defensemen, they're scary.
Yeah.
I think they're so scary, regardless of a lack of experience, whatever you want to call it. I think they're a real team.
I think experience goes a long way in the playoffs, but it seems it's like the game's changed so much that it doesn't almost matter anymore. Like you can go the playoffs give you a lot of highs and lows, right? Like just emotionally and the way you're approaching the game changes from the regular season. And guys that have been through it are certainly more equipped for it.
For sure.
Like the young guys I watched them start to come in. They don't give a shit. They're like they're just like it's almost like
For sure.
They're just happy.
Yeah.
I'm like all the time, guys. Like,
Yeah.
good for
dude, you see it with Kale a couple of years ago. Like, Kale got to the playoffs and was like, fuck yeah, this is sick.
This is sweet.
He's
I'm
like,
good. Yeah,
right.
I'm pretty good. But
Yeah.
I don't know. And I think it was different because the league's changed off the ice too. Like you used to be very seen and not heard. Like when I started, right? And And the game's changed to now. Like the young kids come in and like they have come into the locker room by the time they're 20. Because the salary cap era, you need a bunch of young guys. So it's just different. So I don't think the experience plays as much as it used to.
Yeah.
No, that was one thing I was going to ask, right, about the Canucks. Because I felt like that's what happened to the Devils a little bit last year. Like they came into that Rangers series, beat them, great series.
Yep.
And I was like, oh, this team isn't ready to make a deep run yet just because they haven't experienced it. But that's just complete naivete fan POV. But maybe you're saying that's not quite as real anymore.
Well, I think it plays a part because I think Tampa got really good after they lost to Columbus too. Right?
Yeah,
and they're like, okay, we had no adversity all year. And that's the other thing. Jersey played well enough, but didn't really go through any adversity in that season up until that point. Tampa's first adversity that year, I think they won the President's Trophy, lit the league on fire.
Dude, they had the points record, I think.
Right.
They did.
They did. Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they lose a game in Columbus, and you're like, what's going on now? And like everybody kind of hit panic, and they learned, and then they went on the win too. So I think there's a learning curve in playoffs. Sure. So experience does matter in that sense. I guess I meant more from the emotional side. I think guys don't care. It's not that they don't care. It doesn't ring true. Guys don't feel the weight of it as like we did when we were young. If that makes sense.
It definitely does, dude.
Good, yeah.
And I mean, fuck, man. We talked about it last year with Boston losing to Florida. I think the same thing happened to that Tampa team. It's when you go through and you look at the President's Trophy winners, how rarely they go on and win. I think it definitely plays into that. If you have no adversity all season long and you're just buzzing, then you get into a playoff series where someone's playing you every other day. They get to really study the game notes. Get into your kitchen. That's when you're like, oh fuck, like we're panicking now.
Yeah. When teams really get a chance to break you down and then look at your system, because in the regular season, you play Tuesday in Newark, but you play Thursday at home against let's just say Boston's coming in.
Yeah.
Your video session of Boston's this big.
Yeah.
And you're like, here's what they do. But when you play them in a series, you get them every day, and you get them for a week leading up to it for the most part.
Yeah.
And you're like, this is this, and this. You make adjustments. And then a lot of times in the regular season, the coach is like, this is the adjustment we're making tonight. And you're like, what? I was like, I know you were talking, but I was on a putting green in Bermuda. So you don't retain it the same way as when you really get to lock in on a team. So there's a lot more gamesmanship in playoffs in those regards for sure.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
How much mid game? Like, let's say you guys come in, because I imagine it's a battle for a coach to be like, here's the thing we do that is working. I don't want to change that, but maybe Boston does X, so we got to make an adjustment there.
Are we wearing the same pants?
Yeah. Boy, what do you got?
You guys are close.
Are these bird dogs?
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. I just looked down and I thought I was looking at my own leg.
You're like, oh my god,
Guys, I've been thinking it the whole time.
Really?
Are yours bird dogs too?
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
You guys are both bird dogging.
Great. Cheers.
You guys are both bird dogging. I mean,
great
I feel
pair
like
of
an
pants.
asshole now.
Yeah, and you had them too.
I know I did. I had him on
coulda
last
done
night.
it.
I was on the ODR.
Yeah, oh yeah, that's right. Used them up last night. But yes, I was gonna say, how much in a playoff series, if the coach comes in with an adjustment and it's not going mid-game, are you ever like, hey, ripcord, never mind? Or is it like, hey, we got to see this game through and we'll change it game 2?
A little bit of both. I've had a coach that came in and made an adjustment that didn't work, clearly didn't work.
Yeah.
At that point in time, I was on a scoring line
Yeah.
in Anaheim, and I'm like, this isn't, the change isn't working.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, we're playing against Nick Lidstrom, so fuck, not much is going to work.
What do you want me to do?
Yeah, I'm like, I can forecheck him this way all you want. He's going to lift my stick, put it between my legs, and still not get hit somehow. But we stuck it through, and then I played for Guy Boucher, who had made a small adjustment one time, and I said something to Guy about it very quickly. I was like, I don't like it. And he goes, like, some coaches are very, very good about like ripcord. Okay, we're good.
Yeah.
Let's just go back to what we were doing and just repeat the process. That's what playoffs is, right?
Yeah,
Dip,
yeah.
Behind, low to high, shot, repeat.
Yeah.
And then the game opens up for skill at times. But so to answer your question, both. Like,
Yeah.
Both is the right answer. I've seen it through where it hasn't worked. I've changed where it didn't work.
Yeah.
It's just not rhyme or reason, right? It's just who does the little details longer.
Yeah, God,
Really all
so
it is.
true. That's my favorite part about the playoffs that I think a lot of fans don't quite process, because they're like, just play that team. You're playing them. Beat them best of 7. And I'm like, dude, there is so much more mental stuff happening when it's the same team over and over again. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It certainly is. Yeah.
Speaking of teams who we think are real or not real, I want to kick to the East. What do you think is going on with the Rangers right now? Like, do you think that start was fugazi and this is kind of who they are? Or do you think they're going through a skid and they're going to pull up here?
I think they're going through a skid, but I don't know that. I don't see them as a threat as a team. They just don't. They don't do
neither.
it for me.
Yeah.
They never have. They beat the hell out of Ottawa the other night.
Yeah.
But I'm like, Ottawa's a little porous right now. They're making a lot of changes in their system. So
Yeah.
I haven't watched them as exclusively as I have in the past. I love Mika, so I'm always watching him. Played with him for a long time, so I'll turn a lot of his games on. But that as a team, they're I don't know what it is. They're missing something. They can score at will some nights, and then they can't get on the board, and it's like they don't have enough jam in front of the net sometimes for me.
Yep.
I do love the way they transition, which is so important in playoffs. Like, they get going north pretty quick, and that's a big part of it, and they're fast and skilled. But when that ice tightens up, man, in playoffs, like, I don't know if their personnel is quite what I would want to see if I'm behind the bench coaching them. I'm like, I don't know who's going to go absolutely pay the price in front of the net.
It feels like 3 years ago, Shesty kind of had that season that was like, oh, he's the best goalie in the league.
Yeah.
And he's just been worse since. And he's still amazing.
Still good.
Yeah. But, he's having kind of a tough year this year. And it's flirting with that area of being like, maybe this is his game. And he just played unconscious in that first year where no one really knew, we talked about game notes. It's like guys didn't really know where to shoot on him. Now they do. And when you look at that roster, and it's Panarin's really carrying most of the weight, right? So, they've got some guys who are kind of buzzing, but he's that guy who's notoriously the last few years not been doing it in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So if you're a Rangers fan and even in management of that team heading into playoffs, I feel like you're kind of like, fuck. Like, I don't know what, like you said, I don't think we have the jam to go far here. And if like Shesty's not playing great, like, are you really going to ride Jonathan Quick for an entire playoff run here? Like, it's
But
a
can't
lot.
you see them being like, Panarin's got 30, right? Like, Panarin's scoring like he's never scored. Laffy's finally scoring.
Yeah.
Shesty will get hot in the
But
playoffs.
kind of, I'm
like,
so sick of that shit, dude. Like, everyone's like, this Laffy's popped off, and he's like on pace to have a 45-point season. I'm like, sure, but like that's your first overall pick. Like, are you relying on that guy in the playoffs? I don't know about that. So
They had the kid line that was pretty good. Isn't Sheetal out for the year?
Ketel's done.
Yeah.
Ketel's done.
So, yeah, I agree. Like, you got some positives for sure. Like, Panarin's always going to get his cookies. Like, he's that good.
Yep.
He's just going to find a way. But is he the guy?
Yeah.
In a 4-4 overtime game in playoffs?
Yeah, right.
Unless it's a power play and he's got a space already created.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, he's one of the shiftiest players I've ever played.
Oh my
against.
God, dude.
Like, it's crazy.
He's so quietly a top 5 player of the last 4 years,
Yep.
and like easily. And I just
it's
don't think
crazy.
people think about it.
He
It's
just
unbelievable.
kind of gets forgotten and like when you see him, he's small and like you're just like, he's out there. And then at the end of the night, you're like, he had 1-1. When did he hang that?
yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
So I just don't like. I think they're probably going to take a beating for this, but they're kind of fraudulent to me.
Yeah.
Like,
You're right, dude. I think you're right.
I honestly, like, maybe you'll take a beating, but it's like we all have. I mean, I've been dragged by the Rangers fans before, but it's like
they're ruthless. Too.
Oh,
And
dude.
like then they're gonna be like, well, you're from Philly, you're supposed to say
Yeah.
that. I'm like, I don't care. Where
yeah,
I'm
you're
from.
like, shit. I'm just calling it how I see it.
I have no ties to any team.
Yep.
Right. I'm just telling you like it is.
Yeah, right. It's one of those things. I mean, it's like Biz is always on this, like the New York Fugazis. Like it's. I feel like there's a lot of us who say it and see it, and it's kind of that old thing. It's like if you get called a horse 3 times, you should probably go looking for a saddle because like they might be fake. Dude.
Right,
Like I don't know.
Yeah. Don't tell the blue shirts that.
Exactly.
What are they called? The blue
Yeah.
bloods or blue
Yeah.
shirts?
Yeah, blue shirts, yeah.
They come get you.
And then on the other side, do you think the Bruins are the real deal?
I called the Bruins early.
Really?
I didn't call them as the Stanley Cup champions.
Yeah.
But you thought they'd be this good?
Yeah,
Dude, I was
don't
way
know how
off
you-
on this. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah,
So
I just thought-
actually remember watching yours.
Yeah.
Because it was a clip or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm
He
like,
Sewered them, dude.
Yeah.
And I was like,
I had a
they
wild
still
card
have
team,
those
but-
2 goalies. They're going to be good.
Yeah.
And that's I think the identity of that team is that tandem.
Just
Well, every
losing
now
the
and
depth
again-
down the middle. I was like, how do you survive that?
Every now and again, you guys will post something outrageous where I just have to weigh in with a text. I'm like, you guys are idiots.
Yeah. What do you say about
we need clicks, dude.
So, but I remember that one in particular because Wally and Yorkie, my co-hosts, were like, yeah, they're not making playoffs. I'm like, are you fucking nuts? Look at their
Yeah.
back end.
Yeah.
Look at their goalies and look at their middle. Like, they're a little light there, but the top guys do not find ways to stay off the score sheet. Like,
Yep.
they can't. They just
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
good. And I love the tandem, and I love their D. Like, they just...
Yeah.
That's
And I
been the
love
difference.
Jim Montgomery. 'Cause
Yeah.
He
Oh,
changed.
dude. Monty's unbelievable.
Great dude.
Truly unbelievable.
Great dude. So yes, I don't. This division's like a pick'em for me right now.
Dude, yeah, it's crazy.
I hate covering it sometimes because
Oh, dude.
you don't know. And then like
When you look at 3rd and 4th in the Atlantic and it's Tampa and Toronto, you're like, what the fuck? dude?
yeah,
What
and
is
then
going-
Detroit's right behind them.
Yep.
So I'm like
Detroit's
yeah,
right
they
there.
got
It's
another
like,
point
this is
left.
insane.
And like I think Detroit's gonna fall off a little bit here.
Yeah.
I just don't think
Okay.
they're a playoff team. But right now you have 5 teams from that division in the playoffs.
Yeah.
as of today. I
Right.
think. So it's a fucking good division.
Oh, my God. It's
and
insane.
I just don't. You can't sleep on Tampa. Like if
Dude,
Vasilevsky's
completely
gonna be
agree.
Like, hey, I'm gonna be that goalie from 2 years ago. All of a sudden in
Yep.
playoffs. Good luck.
Obviously, Toronto got by him last year, but if it's another situation, like if Tampa is a wild card team, you're like, are you fucking
Yeah, like you want that in the
you
first
want
round
that?
if you're Boston.
No way. Yeah.
Boston.
it's-
We win the
fucking
President's
kidding
Trophy
me?
and we
Yeah.
get Kucherov in the first round.
Yeah,
Yeah,
dude,
I
I'm
think
like,
that
what? Yeah, and Vassie's unconscious, and I'm
And
like,
it's like
oh,
it
great.
happened. No one really saw it coming, but it's like last year, Boston wins the President's Trophy, and then you get Florida, and you're like, Florida's been pretty bad, but it's like, well, Florida has Kachuk, they have Sasha, they have for Hagee and Reiner, they also have goalie Bob in net
Yeah.
and Montour and Ekblad, and you're like, wait, this team is an 8 seed. What the fuck is going on? So
Exactly.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
like the Atlantic is just an absolute nightmare to
Yep.
pick. Right? You're right. It is a pick 'em.
It's a hard building to go. Like Florida's always in the mix for me because of how hard it is to go play there.
Oh my God. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
stay in bumfuck. Like you're out.
Yeah.
You're out. Well, you're in Fort Lauderdale. They play in bumfuck.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sunrise. Like,
Yeah,
it's like,
and you gotta get like a police escort just to get to the game so you can get through the traffic. There's just something about it, and then you
Yeah.
get to the building, and it's probably different in playoffs. But you're like, oh, fuck, we got to take the crowd out of it because there's
Yep.
4,000 people here.
Yep. Yeah.
It's one of the best buildings in the league
Yeah.
too. It's
Yeah.
gorgeous.
Oh, it's amazing.
And you're looking at it, and you're like, I wish they could get fans here to put some energy into this building because you
I
got to
know.
draw from something, right?
Yep.
It's just it's always been a hard building for me. So they're always in.
They're
the
a
mix
threat,
for me.
dude. They're
Yeah.
a huge threat. I was worried about, they seemed pretty injured to start the year.
They
I
were,
thought they'd
yeah.
start really slow. And just that, I don't know how real this is, but just like that long season cup loser hangover thing. I was like, I don't know. But they did not miss a beat. And
Dude,
now
everybody
they're
talks
super
about
dangerous.
the cup winner hangover. I'm like, can
Yeah.
you imagine being the cup loser hangover?
Dude.
Like that's got to be way worse.
Yeah,
Way worse. Like,
awful.
you're drinking to celebrate, or you're drinking to hurt. You're like hurting your feelings.
Yeah.
Like,
You're angry drinking. That's a tough team to play next year, dude. It's
but they were
unbelievable.
a little banged up. But I think I had them. I can't remember. I had them somewhere in the middle, probably making the playoffs or just out because they're one of those teams
Yeah.
that like they're really built for the postseason.
Agree. Agree
the way they
completely.
play. So when they get in, they're gonna get in. They're gonna be a hard out.
Yep.
They're gonna be a very hard out.
Yeah,
I like
yeah.
them a lot.
Absolutely.
You already mentioned you think Detroit's going to fall off.
Yeah.
Do you think they're going to miss playoffs?
I think they're going to be just outside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So who do you think in the East is going to steal those two wild card spots?
And
Like, right now we're looking at like Boston, Florida locks.
Yep. Toronto, Tampa locks.
I would say
You think
two.
so? Yeah,
Okay.
okay.
New York, Carolina are kind of locks in the Met right now.
Yeah. Where's Pittsburgh's out?
Was
I don't
Philly?
know. Are they? Or they're,
But now,
Dude, Well, yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Like,
Nightmare.
you
Yeah.
know, we're not going to go there, but like,
Yeah.
I don't think Philly's going to stay up.
No.
Because like you've lost your starting goaltender.
Exactly. So the Rangers will be in the top 3 there too, right?
Yeah.
So that's your
They're
top
still.
3.
Are they second in the Met now?
The Rangers?
Yeah.
I think they're first still. What does
I
that
think
say?
they are. Yeah, we got Rangers, Carolina. Thank you, Blakey. So yeah, it's right now Rangers, Carolina, Flyers, and then
But someone has to get that third spot in the Met. So
Yes.
it's either Pitt or the
Islanders,
Islanders.
Pitt, Devils.
Or the Devils, yeah.
So I'm just Pitt Devils. I don't think Pitt's making it.
You don't think so?
No, I don't.
I don't either.
I don't. The Islanders are kind of sleepy, and there's another team that like you get in the playoffs, and you're like, fuck, they're built for
Yeah,
playoffs.
I say it all the time with like again, kind of like Shesty. Sorokin's having maybe not his best year, but I'm like, you do not want to see that goalie. It's
yeah,
just
that's
like
a good-
fucking Bobrovsky last year.
Exactly.
You do not want to see Ilya Sorokin in the playoffs.
So you know what that's going to be my 4 is I think the Rangers and the Islanders. The Devils. They've had too much up and down. This
Dude,
year.
what a ridiculous.
And they're so hurt,
They're
dude.
Jekyll and Hyde, and they're
They're so hurt.
Yeah.
It's
So that's what I'm
brutal.
going to say is the Islanders and the Devils are going to be those other 2 teams.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think the Islanders just edge out Detroit at the end of it is
Yep.
my guess.
Yeah.
And then I had to ask, dude, what happened in Ottawa? Like season from hell. Like I can't because I picked them pretty high. Like I thought they would be like a wild card team, but I was like they are going to because I think we were kind of like he was on the wings taking that step and being a fringe playoff team, and I was on Ottawa taking that step and being the fringe playoff team. Clearly, it's the wings.
I picked Ottawa to finish 7th. I was like,
Yeah.
I think they're close, but they're not there. And everyone called me a moron. And now, like, I've received so many texts being like, even Biz was like, dude, I thought you were an idiot, but wow. And I was
yeah.
like,
So like,
yeah.
what do you think
fucking-
happened?
I don't know. I picked them to finish 2nd or 3rd. I can't
Me too,
remember.
dude. I was like, yeah.
Excuse me. I thought Florida was going to have a longer hangover. I did know that they were going to be a team. Like eventually they were.
Yeah.
I thought after DJ Smith, who was a coach there for years, he was teaching.
Yeah.
And I thought he would make the step into coaching this year, right? From teaching young kids, but I think that they've just had too long of a leash.
Yeah.
Because you're teaching and you're allowed to make mistakes, and all of a
Yeah.
sudden, with the expectations comes the lack of mistakes you're allowed
Right.
to make.
God, yeah.
And now he had to change the way he was a little bit. From I'm handling you with kid gloves, and we're teaching, and now I'm coaching, and it just didn't go well.
Yeah.
I think having Josh Norris come back after a year of hockey, the expectations were too high. Like he missed a year of hockey.
Yeah, that's
Such
a
a good
great
point.
point. That's a great point.
To go from 35 goals, and I think he's on pace for just under 20 now. Like it's a hard ask. Shane Pinto missing 41 games for that bullshit.
Nightmare.
Killed you since he's been back. He's been
great.
yeah, he's been great.
It's been unbelievable.
And then their D's just not. They don't play D. They're
Yeah, it's weird because they have good players back there.
I said this last year when they picked up Chikrin. I was like, that's a great pickup, but that doesn't really help your defense.
No.
Chikrin's not going to be your lockdown defensive guy. And I feel like they've been feeling that all season long.
They have. I think he's on his way out.
I do too,
dude. Yes, yeah.
And talk about a disaster that is. I mean, like that pickup felt like here's another piece to this core that's going to make us contenders for the next 8 years.
Yeah,
and he's gone.
The optics around it were great. He's my family's here.
Yep.
It was perfect. So and they kind of got him at an okay haul.
Definitely.
And I know that they kind of had to be forced to make the trade. Not Arizona, Ottawa.
Yeah.
They were like they thought they were out of it, and
Yeah.
somebody had called and said, no, you're very much in this. Make an offer, and it just happened in the next day. But you have too many of the same player back there. You have 3 great puck moving defensemen in Chikrin, Sanderson, and Shabbat. One of them's got to go.
Yeah.
And you need to move that person, and it's not going to be Sanderson.
No way.
I don't know who it comes down to. Chikrin's attractive because of the contract. Chabby's unattractive because of his contract.
Yeah.
So it's just
Yeah. I don't think you can move Chabby either. Like, I think he is.
I love Chabby.
Yeah, I think he's too important to that group. So it's like, it does feel tough. It's like last one in, first one out.
right.
yeah.
But how much
Unfortunately.
of a setback is it? I mean, the season's over, but like, how much of a setback is it if you are that club? Are you able to go, hey, this was just a bad year. The pieces are here. We will be good next year, or is this like dude? Something is wrong and we need to start again.
I think the core needs a shakeup. Like
Okay.
I desperately think one of the bigger names has to go. And the problem is so Claude Giroux doesn't want to move, I'm sure. Right?
Yeah.
And if somebody comes and says you want a chance to win a cup, but he's from there. He's got a home there. I don't think he wants to move. You're really only going to be able to trade a Tarasenko, which I don't think is going to happen either. I think he loves it there, and he's going to take a discount to stay. And he's a perfect second, third line guy. So but he's not part of your long-term solution. Right. And at where they're at now, they've been told for 6 years, we're building, this is our core. But now this year, with the weight of the expectations, the other excuse built in is, well, we had an ownership change, a coaching change, a GM change. There was no stabilization. And that's what the players had said in meeting with Steos. We need some stability here. So they're getting that. But the problem is they're playing for an interim coach. And you want to install a coach over the summer.
Yep.
When he comes in, if it doesn't work right away, then it's pure panic again next year. So for me, and it's a tough ask for Steve Steos as his first time being a GM. Like, how do you revamp a team that's been built for 6 years but hasn't won anything or shown that they can?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So I think like you're going to start to look at the names like Batherson tossed around, which I would never trade because of his contract.
Yeah.
You get a guy like that for under 5.
Oh my God.
He should be almost untouchable.
Yeah.
But you're not trading Brady or Tim. So you look at Norris, you look at Batherson, you look at you're not trading Pinto, but there's some pieces that need to be moved.
Yeah.
You got too many guys making $8 million because you just hand them out now. You can't do that. Yeah. I understand.
Right, like Sanderson can't be moved, frankly.
No. Yeah.
So it's like,
for me, the only untouchables are Timmy Stützle and Sanderson. But if somebody came to me with an offer for Timmy Stützle, I would entertain it. It
really?
Just would have it would have to be a barn burner.
Yeah. That would be a blockbuster trade.
Yeah.
Like truly.
Yeah. No. But I would consider him untouchable with Brady and with Sanderson. That's not it.
Yeah.
You got a goalie making 5 that lets in 5 a night. So it's like they got a lot to fix.
Something to consider.
That's actually not the math we need there.
Yeah. Craig Anderson's like, I should come out of retirement, go back. I was talking to him the other day. I was like, just let the kids play, man.
Yeah. That's the overarching message here, dude. Just let the kids play.
All right. We want to get into something that was your idea.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, but for the listeners, Bobby hit us up, wanted to do this thing, kind of like an Ask an NHLer vibe. And it's a fucking great idea. So we're doing it. We wanted to launch it here on the pod. So we got a ton of submissions.
Yeah.
Okay.
With some great questions. And we picked a few of our favorites that we want you to dive into.
Okay.
This one immediately caught my eye and I love. So the question is, how real is player coach dissent? Can a coach lose a locker room where the boys have players only meeting or a group text where they say he has to go? So like, it caught my eye because obviously there's a couple of teams right now you could point at that are like, oh, maybe they've lost the locker room a little bit.
Yep.
Is that a real thing where like on the group text or just like the boys in the locker room hanging out, going to dinners are like, I can't fucking stand this guy. We need to get him out of here.
Yes.
Damn.
But I will say in 15 years, I've never been it would never come out in a group. Actually, it comes out in Ubers, apparently. I sat through
Didn't want to bring it up.
But I've never seen anything like that on a group text. The group text is very just much logistics for trips and things like that.
Okay,
it never filters through there. I've been at dinners where the guys are like, a lot of times a closed door meeting has nothing to do with a coach. It's players just holding each other accountable.
Oh, okay.
Because it's a different voice from the coach. So that's a time when you can call somebody out and there's mutual respect and it's a safe place.
Yeah.
But I've also seen almost fights in those meetings. So it's
right.
Yeah. I've seen coaches lose a room. I've been part of that. I've been to dinners where players have also talked about what's next at the year-end meetings. What do we want to talk about? Like, where's our focal point when we meet with the GM about the coach?
Yeah.
I've always stayed just on the outside of that kind of stuff. Mostly because I hate meetings so much that I was like, I don't want to be part of this meeting that's going to go on for 45 minutes after practice. I'm in flip-flops and I'm out the door.
Let me get out of here.
So coach has the ability to lose a room. I've only seen it happen once. It is talked about aggressively at dinners and at year-end meetings and in Ubers.
And is it hard on the captain, like how to be like, yo, you are the one that has to go to the GM and be like, hey, we got an issue here. Like, how does that shake out?
Yeah, and it's tough because captains just keep getting younger and younger, right?
Yeah,
so,
right.
Dude, I think about like next year, like fucking Bedard in Chicago. They're probably gonna throw the C on his chest.
Yeah,
I'm like, imagine
he's gonna go talk to Richardson about it. It's funny. Guys will go to the captain, and a lot of times captains will decide whether it's worth kicking up.
Oh, okay.
And a lot of times you're just lending an ear to the player because you're not. Nobody's out to get a coach, right? I've only seen that one time too.
Can you say it?
No, but the player lost. Like the player, If it's 1-on-1, players losing. If it's 5-on-1, coaches lose. Right? It's the way it goes. But a captain's you always have to have an ear. You always have to decide whether it's worth running up the flagpole. And then a lot of times you're kicking it to the assistants anyway, because that's they're filters.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, no
Assistants
doubt.
are just filters. And they're the guys that do a lot of the prepping and planning for games actually too. So, captains don't run it up very often.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if it was something
They'll tell
like
you to
a
be
coaching
stop
change.
being a bitch.
Yeah,
Like,
right. They'd say that to you, right?
Dude,
Like,
I've had that said to me too.
Yeah.
You can't take offense to it because you're like, maybe they're right.
Yeah, fair.
Such a good point.
So first question, but if it was a coaching change thing, you wouldn't run that through assistants either, right? Because it's like probably packaged. So that would have to go somewhere else.
Yeah, because if you run it to the wrong assistant, they're like, "Whoa, I'm going to be head coach interim."
Yeah.
Because that's where every assistant generally wants to go to, right?
Yeah.
I think that I've played for the oldest team in the league when I came in with Anaheim and Scott Niedermayer, Chris Pronger. Like I always had guys to go to.
Yeah.
Now with teams being so young, that's why Claude came in and is what he is in Ottawa.
It's huge.
He's a go-between. And it takes time to get comfortable to be able, like I played for GMs that are way too involved and way under involved. Like Bob Murray was never in the room. He was great. He was like, the room's yours.
Yep.
You come to me if you need me.
Yeah.
Where Pierre was in there having breakfast and chatting guys up. And like, there's nothing wrong with that. For me, I had seen it and started the other way and I didn't love that.
Fair.
But I do think players are getting more comfortable, and especially captains. They have to be comfortable
Yeah.
going across the hall to discuss things. And he's like, hey, it's not one player I'm coming about, it's 5.
Yeah.
And then that's the GM's job to discern where that goes.
I mean, I can't imagine how important guys like Killorn and Fowler are in Anaheim right now. It's like that is
Huge.
such a young team. I mean, even Vancouver. Like you look at the leaders on that team, like that team is young.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy. Like JT is like one of the oldest guys
Yeah,
on that
just
team.
ridiculous.
It's crazy.
And then those closed door players only stuff. Is the mutual respect always there, or have you ever seen something linger where it's like, hey, I'm calling you out now, but like we're cool, right? And it's like it's not cool.
Some guys have the ability to not take anything personally.
Yeah.
And you have to have tough skin in a locker room. You guys have been in a room.
Yeah.
Even
Yeah,
beer
of
league, you have to have tough
Yeah,
skin.
fuck
Yeah. Your guys are going to chirp you about something every day. And most guys do. There's only a few guys that I've played with over my time where I'm like, came out of a closed door meeting and like held a grudge against somebody. And like, I found myself guilty of it one time when things weren't going well in Anaheim and somebody said something to me and I was like, fuck you.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And I go home and I'm like kicking the cat and I'm like,
Like that son of a
damn
bitch.
you. Yeah. And then I'm like, what are we doing? We're on the same thing. He actually wants me to be better for him to help. So you have to take those things and kind of marinate with them sometimes. But I've never seen a friendship loss, but I've seen guys kind of veer towards different groups.
Take it too
after. And that's-
personally.
yeah. And, you know, it's the other thing. You got 22 guys in a room. There's so many different personalities and so many different things kind of coming into one group that you're going to have spats. You're going to have different things. I've seen fist fights over card games, and then 10 minutes later you're getting a beer. It's like, hey, sorry, I made fun of your tattoo.
Sibling relationship, dude. It's so real.
Heat of the moment, bro. My bad.
Yeah, sorry.
It's so. We always joke about it. It's funny how you can be more competitive in practice with your teammates than you are with the other team sometimes.
Yeah.
I've had problems with that too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Oh yeah.
fucking nuts, dude.
Yeah, because then you go in the room and like it's a 3-on-3 game and you're fucking heated, but then you got to be around them all the time.
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
I
Lose my
remember
mind.
at Andover, like Kreider and I used to. We would be like hacking each other's legs off at
Yeah.
practice sometimes. And
Yeah,
like
yeah.
then I'd be like, "What's up? Let's go to dining hall."
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah.
Okay, I got the next one for you. How often do guys break curfew on the road? How often do they get caught? What would be the punishment, and how would you pull it off?
So I've never heard this before. There is no curfew.
Okay.
I've never had a curfew.
So when you guys are on the road, the coach is like, "Do your thing.
Yeah.
Don't be an asshole."
And did you guys have an unspoken like 48-hour rule type thing of like don't drink the night before a game, or was it just like fucking do you, man?
Do you? Yeah, just be ready to go. Again, I came into a team that really governed itself with Anaheim. They had just won. They
Yeah.
were an older team. There was a couple green lights a year. That was it. That's what I learned.
Yeah.
Right. So they didn't have to imply curfew. Every now and again, coach will be like, guys, just be in by whatever. And it's not enforced. I've heard of teams where coaches knock on doors and look.
Really?
But I've never once experienced that.
No squad you played for ever did.
Never, nobody.
Yeah.
No,
I mean, there's that story. I think it was like the Cup year for Boston where they put a fucking guy outside Sagan's room.
Yeah.
They were like, we don't trust you. Like,
That's
stay in your
incredible.
fucking
That's
hotel room.
amazing.
Which is
But
insane.
I've never experienced that. I know that again, certain players with reputations for like running the night before a game,
Yeah.
they'll get a little more, I guess, attention.
Yeah.
But I do know of a couple. Like we had a group of guys that went out. I wasn't part of it. I was a rookie. They went out on the road night before a game, got called out. got fined by the team. It wasn't heavy.
Called out by the boy? Oh, by the coach.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah.
Coach was like, I smell it on the ice
Yeah.
pregame skate, and I was like, yeah, I can smell it too.
Yeah, it's
like,
fucking Fifth
and I
Row
don't
can smell it,
I don't
dude.
have a nose for that kind of stuff. Like
Yeah.
you could be right in front of me and I wouldn't know. Like
Yeah.
I'm just oblivious. It's
Yeah.
not a good thing. So he called it, and like a couple of those guys had gotten traded relatively
Oh, shit.
quickly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And just broke that little group up or whatever. But that was the only instance I've really had to coach would be like, guys, we're going out a little too much. That's it. That's the end of the conversation.
Yeah.
Guys, just lock it in. But
Yeah.
no curfew. Usually it's a fine. I've never seen guys be scratched for it. You can be scratched for it. I've seen that. But
Yeah.
nothing crazy. Most guys the night before game are just, they're good.
Yeah, they're doing. You're right. Yeah, it's
I feel like
a
people have
responsibility
such
thing.
intense routines that it's
Right.
like, I'm not going
Yeah.
to
Totally.
that.
And the league's changed. When I started, it was a little more.
For sure.
For sure. Yeah. But that's cool to know that you would say most teams don't.
I would say,
Yeah,
I would
like-
venture to guess most.
Yeah.
Cool.
This is perfect transition.
Yeah, it goes
to
to
the
good next one.
This next one says, and names if you can say, don't need to. Who had the craziest night out and then played a game the next day that you've ever seen?
Me. Like 100%. It was
Go. Give us the story immediately.
it was New Year's Eve. We were in Washington D.C.
Fuck, who can blame you?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
was like, whatever. It was the last game before break, and I went fucking hard.
Yep.
And I went with one other guy, and he ended up leaving and going back, and I was on my way back too. I was just kind of like, that place looks cool. I'll pop in for one on the way back.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm like, I walked a little further than I thought, so I ended up
yeah.
at 5 different places.
Yeah.
So
There's so many cool looking spots, dude. I have to check them all out.
yeah, and now like I now I'm retired and don't care, so
Yeah.
I could tell the story. But DC, I get back to I think it was the Four Seasons or whatever it is, and it was a coach's wives trip.
Okay.
And
Jesus.
at the hotel bar, the coaches' wives were having a cocktail, and they saw me
As you come in.
Yeah, and I was taking pictures with them, like no cares in the world. Went into the room the next day, and I was like, I didn't remember it. Right?
Yeah.
Like I remembered pieces of it, and it wasn't that bad. It was like I was home by 12:30.
Yeah, right.
And we don't get up till 10 on the road.
Yeah,
Buses
yeah.
are at 10:30,
Yeah.
give or take. So I slept 9.5 hours.
that a
I was
great
like
sleep,
showered,
dude?
brushed jibs. I was good.
Yeah.
And then one of the coaches called me in the morning. And he's like, "So last night," and I was like, "What about it?"
Yeah.
And they did
You're
not.
like, I was in bed by 12.
Yeah, and we were injured, so we had guys injured. So I played that night in DC, and I was fucking hung.
Yep.
And I actually played okay, but I got off the plane the next day. I woke up, and my agent was like, "I got a phone call, whatever."
Yeah.
He's like, and we're on spring break. What is it? January break.
Yeah.
Bye week at this point. So he's like, "Yeah, they're gonna talk to you about it when you get back." And I was like, "Okay." So I got back, and I got scratched.
First game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we did it, playing in Canada, the way we did it was like, he's like, "We're going to protect you and not say anything." And now it's years later and I don't care. But
Yeah.
I just didn't go out. I went out for warm-ups and then didn't play. And like Rob Cookson came in to tell me, he's like making sure. And I'm like, just waiting for anybody to say they got hurt in warm-ups. So this is why I didn't get scratched. Yeah. So Cookie comes in and he's like, "Bobby, what are you doing?" I was like, "Did anybody get hit by a puck? Like anything?" Like, did anybody? I was like, "Buckets off warm up is mandatory tonight," because I didn't want to deal with it. He's like, "I have to scratch you. I'm sorry."
Yeah.
So that was it. It was
Do you
a great
remember
night.
what the report said? Why you were scratched?
We never, there was no report,
Just
never
didn't
put it
say?
out there. Yeah.
Okay.
And then I just had to deal with the media, and I was like, yeah, I forget what we said. I can't even remember it, but like one of the media guys texted me. He's like, "I think somebody went out on New Year's Eve and it came back to cost them." And I was like, "Oh, I hadn't heard that."
Yeah.
Like,
Don't know what you're talking about.
All the media guys, like, because I was always candid and honest with them, and this is the one time they were like, "What the fuck?" Like,
Yeah.
Then they just let it go.
Yeah.
They were good about it. So
That's
Yeah.
good.
But what did the coach say that the next day, like after that night, when he was like, "Hey, like look at this picture."
Yeah,
dude."
did you see the pictures?
No, I didn't see anything.
We got to dig those photos up.
It was amazing though. Guy never said a word to me the next day. He's like, "You're playing." Crow was like, "It's an optional. I suggest you skate this morning." I was
Yep.
like, "Yeah, sounds
Yep,
good."
yep.
Like they were just like, Crow's an old salt, right? Like Mark Crawford.
Yeah.
He was like just laughing. He was like, "Just sweat it out this morning. Go get a nap. You'll be
Yep.
back." So I played fine. I was fine by the time the game actually rolled around.
Yeah.
I was a little like, I had a shitty nap and I was sweaty going in the back.
Oh,
a little
yeah,
bit,
yeah.
like,
Oh, yeah.
Sweating the salt out a bit, but I played just well enough. Guy never said a word to me until I came back, and he pulled me in because I was the first guy back from All Star break, and he's like, "Let's come talk about this." And
Yeah.
what are you talking about? It's happened a week and a half ago. We're
Yeah.
done, right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
That's
But he
over and
definitely knew that first game too, or only
He knew.
assistants
Oh
did?
yeah,
he did.
knew.
Okay, yeah.
Well, I was cold tub in between periods, so I was like, yeah.
Get this guy a beer, dude. You know, you got to keep it rolling.
I was,
sometimes.
yeah.
Let it get the hair of the dog going.
God,
Jesus
what a
Christ.
what a life change.
Oh,
That is fucking
good.
incredible. That is incredible. Okay, all right. Here's the next one. Oh yeah. Oh, this is a good one. Do players talk to each other about taking team-friendly deals to help the squad, or is that too awkward?
I've never seen that firsthand. Generally, players are rooting for each other
To get get the bag.
Yeah, just get the bag.
Yeah.
I think that, and I guess it wouldn't.
Unless it's Dutchy and he's telling you to.
Yeah, yeah.
But he was rooting for him though.
He was cheering him on.
Yeah.
He just wasn't helping him out.
Yeah.
But it was one of those situations where guys were, and like as I played, like I remember after my second year, I was up for contract and I scored 30 twice, and I had to fight to get 5, like almost the day before the season. Now it's like one guy scores 28 and 30 maybe one year. No, he's an $8 million player. Like it's changed to where the cap's gone up and players are getting paid younger because you want them paid in their prime. I understand that. I just like I was part of a conversation one time with a player that was coming up for a contract. They were like, we want to win here. Like our group's here. And the player had said, not that he didn't think we could. He said, I don't think they'll keep this together, whether I stay or not. And I'm not staying and taking less without that guarantee.
Yeah.
And management and coaches can't guarantee something like that because you don't know how another player is going to be a year from now when they want to get paid. So,
Dude, you don't know if injuries happen. It's just like, it's insane.
So guys are just content to let guys work it out and get paid. And like you never want to see a buddy go, but at the same time you're like, he's gonna go to free agency, he's gonna earn a nice contract.
Well, let me ask you this: would you feel pressure, right? Because I think Sid had that quote a couple years ago that was like, you know, I take less, but taking less only works if everyone takes less. You know, like that's the only way to keep this together. If there's a guy like Sid, a guy like Bergeron, whatever, taking not top dollar, then yours comes up. Are you like, oh, Christ? Like I know Sid didn't say anything to me. He didn't say you have to take less, but are you like, fucking hell, I got to take less?
Yeah, and it's. If you're like Sid and you're taking less, it's still 9. I get it.
Yeah, right.
But
fair.
you're making 15 off the ice, where it's hard for a guy that's going to make 4 to say I'll take 3 because that's life-changing money for him where it's not there.
Yeah.
And again, like it's harder for guys that are middle range guys to follow suit.
Yeah.
The top end guys
Great
can
point.
take $1 million less and you're fine. You're
Great
still
point.
laughing.
Yep.
Yeah.
But it's very hard to do that. Like I remember Yamamoto going through that in Edmonton. I was skating with him all summer in Coeur d'Alene, and they're like, well, he was getting phone calls from like high-end players there saying, why don't you just sign for this? And he's like, because I won't make any money.
Yeah.
Like, why would I take $780 or $1 million bucks? Or I think he ended up at like 1 something.
Yeah.
And the term wasn't the way he wanted it to work. I just can't remember all the details, but I remember those guys, like he's like, so-and-so called me, and I'm like, called you for what?
Yeah.
You're arguing over $500,000 in life-changing money. With a very small window of time to make it. So I've always kind of stayed out of it, and I think most guys do.
Yeah.
And just root for the player, and you hope that if that's the player that you want in your room, that they stay.
Yeah.
Right.
Rooting for each other is such a huge element
You
of it.
can't get mad at guys for moving.
Exactly.
No, of course.
You
Dude,
really can't.
Pittsburgh has been such an area of conversation lately, and it's, you know, with what's going on and the big one being Gensel coming up here. It's like, yes, Sid has taken less. Gino's maybe technically taken a little bit less. And you look at a guy like Gensel, and you know that Pitt fans are like, come on, man, just re-sign, stay here, take less. But if you're Gensel and you're looking at a 36-year-old Sid, a 36-year-old Gino, a 35-year-old Tanger, you're like, what the fuck is he taking less for? This is his last chance to sign a big ticket.
Yeah.
Let's say he takes less and signs, and 2 years into it, those guys are gone.
Yeah. And they've all made $100 million.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
that's a disaster. So
a
it's like,
disaster.
no, you can't possibly ask a guy like that to take less. It's
Did I
crazy.
see he just turned down 8.5 for them though? Or
I don't think he has officially turned down anything, but
Okay.
the whispers are that was one that was offered earlier this year, and he said no.
I don't know how you don't say no to that though.
100%, dude. I said last episode he stands to make 10 easy. Like
Probably.
you look at the Pasta contract, the Nylander contract. He's been a point per game guy for 3 years. In what world does he not say I absolutely deserve?
They're just
10
not
a
doing
year?
their job.
Yeah, I
With
agree.
the cap going up too, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
8.5, that's like an easy turn down for me if you're Gensel. So,
Yeah, I agree.
for sure. It's a crazy one.
Yeah.
Do we have more? Or was that it?
No, those are the four. Well, those are my
the-
4 favorites.
those
Yeah,
are the
we're gonna
top
do a
ones.
lot of these. but,
Okay, I love
those
it.
are my 4 favorites. Yeah.
Yeah. The closing was going to be. We want to do this with you a lot. Like
Okay.
this needs to be a recurring segment where you come on.
I'm in.
Because it is the amount. We always love these things. Like when we started doing the beer league thing.
Yeah.
I was
The
like,
beer league thing's incredible.
it's so
Incredible.
funny.
Yeah.
And I was like, I wonder if people are going to send that in. And dude, the inbox is flooded.
Is it really? Well,
Dude, we're
And
for
this one,
yours, it's
I
insane.
popped that up this morning, and there's like 400
No shit.
questions that people
See,
want answered.
It makes me laugh because like there's beer league in Nashville, and we have our Tuesday pro skate with like Ryan Smith is the head of it, and Andy Sutton, and we've got a lot of guys that kind of gravitate.
Yeah,
towards
yeah.
it. So we got a good skate with Fish and Bacchus and whatever, but. Ryan Smith plays in an actual beer league.
Yeah.
Does he really?
And he loves it. And on Sunday night, every Saturday, are you going to play? I haven't played in a game yet.
Yeah.
And I signed up, and I was like, yeah,
Dude, you
man.
should.
Yeah. Well, I either have the kids and I can't get to the game at night or whatever.
Yeah, fair.
But I think this Sunday, and I should probably send him a clip of this, that I'm gonna do my best to make my first game this Sunday night.
There you go.
Because he's like, "Fuck, like, what do you even sign up for? And I was like, I don't want to go. Like, I don't want to go get run into by.
Yeah.
He's like, these young kids are flying out here, and I'm like, that's not appealing.
That's not fun.
I'm like,
you're not pitching this
I was
well.
like, I'm gonna do what I did for 15 years and find a spot to take a one-timer.
Yep.
So hit me. That's it. That's all I got to bring to the table.
Yeah, but they'll give it to you. That's what I'm saying.
That's
You
it.
get up there, they'll pass you the puck. You don't have to move.
So I probably can't even put the shell on anymore. I'm just a breezer guy.
Yeah,
No shoulder pads.
Yep. That's allowed out there too. That's my
like-
favorite
Oh
part.
yeah,
about it.
no shoulders all day.
Absolutely.
All right, well, dude, we'll let you get out of here. But thanks for popping on. And like we said, yeah, I can't wait to keep doing this one more often.
That's awesome. I love it.
Something
Thank you
else.
guys for having me. This
Hell
is
yeah,
good to
dude.
do.
bro. Okay, we are sitting here with a Toronto native, 8-year NHLer,
Yep.
signed by the Flyers out of junior hockey, played for the Whalers, the Capitals, the Leafs, the hometown Leafs, and of course, the New York Rangers, 1994 Stanley Cup champion. Last time the Rags brought that one home, by the way.
Nice little chirp for the blue shirts.
And now, massive NHL media and TV star.
Yes.
Nick Kypreos, thanks for joining us in Wayne Gretzky's basement on the Empty Netters podcast.
Good to be here. Massive, I'm not sure.
I think so, man.
But I'll
Absolutely.
take it.
Yeah.
I'll take it. And you guys are killing it, man.
Appreciate that so much. No, I'm so glad.
I scroll, and there you guys are.
We just get
and
rammed down your throat
Yeah,
every
our
time.
mugs, our mugs keep showing up.
Great stuff.
No, it's awesome that you're here. We're psyched to talk to you. I'm being in Toronto here at All Star. We have so many things that we want to get into.
Sure.
Because what I think the thing that put you on our radar is you have such a strong and honest opinion on so many things, and I think that is too rare in this world. And so often they're things that we totally agree with.
Yeah.
So did you want to get into?
Yeah, okay, so
because we've got like
Here's the first one I want to talk about. We're going to talk about a lot of Leaf stuff, obviously.
a lot of Leaf stuff because I think there's a lot of Leaf stuff going on.
And we've been talking a lot of Leaf stuff on the
Yes,
pod
we have.
recently, and now we've been
Yeah.
an authority here, so I think this will be great.
Yeah.
So the first thing I want to talk about is the Nylander contract.
Sure.
And we were reading an article that you wrote that I thought A, was fascinating, and B, a lot of hockey fans either forget or never knew, whatever. And it's that 2018 Shanny quote when he was like, this core, this group of guys is going to take less to keep this together. And not to read your own article back to you, but not only did they not do that, but they kind of like took every penny possible. It's almost like the exact opposite.
They've gone the complete flip of that sentiment, which
Right.
I find interesting, and I don't think anyone remembers or talks about enough that Shanny quote. Because it's like everyone's kind of just been like, "Yep, nope, this was always the plan," and I'm like, "No, it was not."
Right.
So
And you brought up some great examples in the article of, McKinnon's previous contract he signed, Jack Hughes right now, some guys that are taking a little bit less.
Yeah.
And it's working for those teams. And I would say the Bruins core, that's largely gone now, but like that Bruins core felt like they were doing that.
Bergevin
yeah.
was at 6. I don't think he ever got to 7 or 8.
No.
One of the best players in
Totally.
our generation.
Yep.
Brad is under
Marshy,
7.
yep.
I think Krejci was just over 7,
Yeah.
and then obviously Pasta signed his extension at 6.6 or something
Yep.
like that. So yeah, like they were definitely hovering in that. Everyone was under 7.5. That's what made it work.
And
you know?
that Penguins core, one
Yeah.
of my favorite quotes was Sid, and we just brought this up with Bobby, but Sid was saying like, yeah, he does his 8-7 thing, but like Sid's like, I take less, but me taking less only works if everybody takes less. And they were kind of doing that too. So I feel like you have seen that commitment from teams
Yeah.
recently. So like, what gives?
Yeah, it's an interesting question, just in terms of why there wasn't, any more foundation built off of those comments from Brendan Shanahan, and I guess to each his own.
Yeah.
But once you got into the the Matthews contract, which essentially I think set the whole table up.
Sure.
And he didn't do it. And then certainly Mitch Marner, who was at the time, it was Marner's team and it was Matthews' team until Tavares showed up. And it's almost as if that had an opposite effect. Once they got Tavares at over 11, it just reset the whole table.
Yeah.
And I think the Matthews and Marner knew that Tavares was a heck of a player and a good signing, but he wasn't going to be the face of this franchise as early as another 2 or 3 years. That was still destined for Matthews and Marner, and they weren't going to be undercut by Tavares unless it was stipulated. And, you know, Brendan almost threw it out there just to see if there would be any nibbles.
Right, sure.
And there were no nibbles. And then he completely backed off of it. And we've never really seen a sign of, this is it, take it or leave it, we'll move on if you're not on board.
Yeah.
That never went in that direction. And then here we are today. 4 of the top 10 salaries in the National Hockey League belong to one team, more specifically forward position. And therefore you still what I believe is still an imbalance on the roster. Yes, it's dangerous. Yes, they can score. Yes, they're amongst the best players in their positions and paid adequately for it. But is it a good balance that works on the hockey club to win and win 4 rounds when you need it most? Remains to be seen.
When the Nylander contract was kind of being floated out there, and there were tons of fans, specifically Maple Leafs fans, who were like, he's going to take a team-friendly deal. I was in the camp, I think along with you, that was like, no, he is not. There's no planet where he does this. Austin just signed for $13 million. Why is he going to do this? So when you look at this team and you've got Tavares, who everyone keeps saying, you've got to move him, but how could you possibly move him? Who's going to take that? And who's he going to waive for? And then Marner coming up, it's like, is this team staring down the barrel of, if you re-sign Marner's going to ask for 12.5 or something like that? It's like, I just think that this snowball is going to keep rolling and getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah, I can't definitively say that will be the case, because Marner, let's remember, he doesn't need to sign till after next season. Tavares will be off the books. Brody will be off the books. If you signed Mitch again at a raise, so he's at 10.9 now. Can he go to 11.5 or 12? Do you want him to if you're the Leaf?
Yeah.
Do you feel like 11's a good number for him now? Remains to be seen. But there is some flexibility in another 2 years, and the cap's going to go up.
Yep.
And if you want to now be in a position where you're paying Matthews, Marner, and Nylander this money, and then you take the Tavares deal off the books and put it on the back end, there might be some more flexibility. It's just a question of whether or not they think the dynamics of those 3 guys.
Yes, very fair.
Forget about now salary for a second. We've got 3 highly skilled guys, and none of them play with a lick of, sandpaper or, they're not in your face guys. They're pure skilled players.
Yeah.
And whether or not alone that's enough of a dynamic. Do you need one guy full of piss and vinegar out of the 3 if you're going to pay $10+ million? Those are questions down the road.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sure. Okay. So 2 questions. First one, is there anything in the locker room, even if it's unspoken a little bit, of guys being like, well, if so-and-so's getting X and I think I'm fucking better than him, I'm getting X plus? Is like that a thing that goes through guys' heads? Like Matthews is like, no chance Tavares getting more.
100%. And this is not a Maple Leaf thing.
Yeah.
This isn't 3 guys. This is just the dynamic of a salary cap. Like in my era, when we heard a guy signed, I'll never forget Luc Robitaille signed with us with the New York Rangers, something like $20 million over 6 years. We were like having a party in the dressing room. And it's like, where are you taking us out for dinner? Where are you taking us out for lunch? You're buying. He's like, I'm buying, boys. With that French accent. And it was a celebration.
Yeah.
I don't think that happens anymore. It's like, okay, if you took that, what's left for me?
Yeah.
Right.
And that's your first thought. And that's just reality. That's human nature, human behavior, in terms of knowing that there's only so much of a pie to slice up. Why is mine a little thinner than yours? What's left for me? It's not good, and it's not healthy.
Yes.
But they created it, and they're going to have to deal with it, since the moment they brought in the hard salary cap. And some players are better at it than others. Some have a poker face, can hide it. Some others can say, no, I want what's coming to me.
Yep.
And I think that's what happened with Willie Nylander.
Yeah.
Like, with all due respect, it's not my problem. You mismanaging the cap or you up against it shouldn't come at my expense.
Right.
This is what the market, we believe, can bear. If I leave, here's my number, match it or don't. That's what happened to the Leafs with Nylander. It's like the numbers, we told you the number a long time ago.
Yeah.
You said no, 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 and now you say yes.
Yeah,
we're good with that.
And partially, you gotta feel good for a guy. We had Dregs on the other day, and he was saying what you were saying, where it's like, Nylander's camp was before the season was asking 10 and a half, or had kind of had a hard line around there.
Oh, it was always 11.
Yeah, you're 11, and then
Always
and then he
11.
There you
plays
go.
incredible.
It wasn't even a negotiation.
Yeah,
Yep.
It's like, here's the number, match it.
Match it.
Tell us when you want to match it.
right. And then he goes out and does what he's doing right now, and you're like, well,
And
good
it's
for
a
you.
good deal.
Yeah.
Now they're going, okay, we better
give it
take
to him.
it.
Give it to him right
Seriously,
now.
right? They're like this. Please take 11-5.
Yeah.
Jesus.
And then my second question is this: as we're Bruins fans at heart, but I love Austin Matthews. Seeing an American kid come up and score a million goals, it was amazing, right? And simultaneously, as what we're doing with empty netters was happening, and you're starting to get a little bit bigger, you start to worry that before, at the beginning, we're just idiots on a couch talking, and then all of a sudden players are seeing what you're saying, and you're like, all right, I got to be a little bit more careful here. But I remember thinking, at least, we talked about this at the house, when Matthews signs that huge ticket, is it fair to want to criticize him, to be like, dude, you're handcuffing the team a little bit here, or are you like, you know what, I should just be happy for every player to just get theirs, and it is what it is?
Listen, he's one of the best players in the world
Yeah.
when it comes to putting the puck in the net. And, when he's on his game, he's carrying a hockey club. He's going to be a top paid player in the game. It's just, that's the way it should work.
That's the way it should work.
Right?
Okay.
All the faces of the league going back 20, 30 years. The guys that produce, the guys that get the job done on the ice get rewarded the most. So I don't think that there'll ever be the case of true jealousy when it comes to the superstars. Connor McDavid on his current deal right now, what is he making? 12 and a half?
I think so. Yeah.
When you look around in the NBA, NFL,
oh my
you're
God.
watching what's going on. You're like, hey, dude, you're getting ripped off right
That's
now.
like a piece of
Right?
shit pitcher in the MLB.
Oh my
It's
gosh.
just like, it's
Right?
ridiculous. Yeah.
It's like, what are we talking about? Indoor lacrosse?
Yeah.
Like, that's the way the NHL can kind of look sometimes.
For real.
Compared to the big boys.
Yeah.
And you want to be looked upon as one of the big
Totally.
four, and you're really not.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I want them to make as much money as
Yeah.
they can, but once you get into and this is the other thing too, is like, the salary cap's been around long enough that even if you tell me as an ownership group, listen, you take less, we'll put more around you. Like, I've watched it enough where if I'm a player and you tell me that, it's like, no. You'll take my less and you'll screw it up.
Yeah.
And you'll go sign somebody and then you'll go have to bury him in the minors. Like, tell Connor McDavid on his next deal that you got to take less so we can build a better team around you. And it's like, didn't you sign Jack Campbell to $5 million and you've got 4 of it buried in the minors? I'm not leaving $1 million so you can just go screw it up all over again. I don't trust you.
Yeah.
Such a
So
good
I'm
point.
just going to take the money anyways.
Yeah.
It's such a good point, because my knee jerk, just to finish that thought, is when Matthew signs that ticket, I go like this. He doesn't care about winning a cup. He just cares about his bag. But you're right. It's not true, because he goes, I'm one of the best players alive. I should be paid as such.
Yeah.
And what are you going to do with that money?
What are you going to do with the money? I'll give you one other more. Okay, I'll give you the money, but I'll decide who we sign.
Yes.
Right? It's my money. It's not your money.
Yeah.
So true.
I'm leaving $1 million on the table.
We go
All right,
after
you have to
free
pick.
agency.
Yeah.
I'll be there on the trade deadline then.
And
Yeah,
there's
working the phones.
There's other things that we always forget too, is guys taking big tickets like this helps the salary cap. Like, this is what helps the league grow and get bigger, so the salary cap can go up. And then also, sure, it helps sometimes. It's not a guarantee.
Yep.
You take less, it doesn't mean you're going to win the cup every fucking year.
No.
So it's like we just said with Bobby Ryan, was just here a second ago. It's like, you do that, and then someone gets hurt.
Yeah, right. God.
Some crazy shit happens that's going on right now, and all of a sudden your starting goalie's gone, and it's like, you just can't ask these guys to leave all this money on the table and then who knows what happens.
And
So
again, there's public perception out there, and then there's the reality of the player. And I don't care what era we're in. I don't care if it's a salary cap, no salary cap. You can be out there and get hurt tomorrow, and you're done.
Yeah.
You're done.
Yeah.
Yep.
Landeskog.
Dude.
Okay, come on.
Yep.
yeah,
You know how lucky he is he signed that deal?
yeah.
Wow.
Because listen, I appreciate that he's trying. I hear the odds are against him.
Absolutely.
That he'll ever play again.
Yep.
Wow, it's crazy.
He's got a really tough injury, a unique injury, and God bless him if he can come back.
Yep.
But if he doesn't, then good on you for getting every penny
Yeah.
you could off of that long-term deal.
And you brought a cup there too,
Yep.
and it's he's not 24 years old. You know,
Yeah,
So
right.
It's like that's
And that's the way the players have got to think, and the agents. The agents are there to protect the player.
as they should be,
Yep.
and you'd hope so, right? So yeah, it's crazy. Talking about Tavares too, I think he is one that we really wanted to get into because feel like you've said and you've written a lot about, I think, what a lot of Leafs fans have felt since he joined. It did feel like at the moment that was maybe the leader or the star player that they needed to get over the hump. And it's been interesting because I think CP's got a list of his stats over the last few years, but he's been a point per game guy or just under for the last 4 seasons.
Yeah.
But it does feel like the attitude and the atmosphere around this city is they're kind of done with it and it's not working out. So I'm super curious, like what you think the reason is for that, and then also what there is to do in that space.
Well, listen, I don't want to come across like a John Tavares basher or, he's not the right guy or anything like that. I think he's done everything that was basically asked of him, or if he hasn't, it's because you didn't assess him properly. So you just mentioned a point a game guy. Well, point a game guys are never supposed to be one of the top paid players in the game.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, there was a perception coming out of the Islanders that he was this superstar player. And I think when it's all said and done, we can look at him and say he was a very good player, but one of the best in his eras, or a superstar, not necessarily. Maybe in the Islanders over the last 10 years of his career, the team wasn't that strong. He got to look a little brighter, a little better than the most. Of course, he wore a C. At times, he'd do some terrific things out there. But I think the perception of him coming in as one of the top players in the game, and at the time they made him the second highest paid player in the game, was a bit of a
Good call. I forgot
chance
that was that.
signing on the Toronto Maple Leafs.
I agree.
That he would ever live up to being the second highest paid player in the league, or now coming in and being a savior for the Toronto Maple Leafs.
I think the hometown boy thing added into that too. It was just there's so much that led to that ticket.
And he's a good player, but is he a guy that can carry a team now, a franchise, especially one that hasn't had a Stanley Cup since 1967? No. We'll look back in history and say he was a good player, a hardworking player, but not the type of player that carried that type of status or contract at the time.
Yeah. Okay.
Is that fair?
Yes,
Yes,
absolutely.
absolutely.
And you actually, 'cause I was going to go a little bit harder. You actually kind of convinced me already. But this is what I wanted to ask you about Tavares, and we're going to get in a second into the familiar middle of the pack situation with the Leafs in general. But one thing you had talked about is the production of Tavares and Brody dropping off a little bit, right?
Yeah.
And the one thing I think that's interesting about Tavares, and I don't even have to read this to you because he just said it basically, but it's like his last 5 years in Toronto: 88 and 82, 60 and 63, 50 and 56, 76 and 79, 80 and 80. So he's like just under a point per game, right? Now, he just went on that ridiculous 9 games with no points streak, which you had highlighted in an article. But right before that, and I'm not excusing that is unacceptable, but right before that, he was at 35 and 37. Like he kind of was doing the same thing. So let's pretend, and I don't know, but he just got that tuck right before the break, right? Let's pretend that 9-point streak was just a crazy blip and he's point per game the rest of the way, which he was for 35 games before.
Yeah.
Aren't you actually getting the production you expected from Tavares, though? And again, I'm not excusing the 9 games, but I'm like, you're kind of getting what you wanted from him.
I think the feeling was when he came from the Islanders that he was a point-a-game guy there.
Yeah.
And with the likes of Matthews, Marner, Nylander around you, build a team around you that perhaps the 80 could become 90 or 100 or 100 plus. And that just hasn't been the case. So again, if you're lucky enough to get Tavares to back to the pace of a point a game guy, is it still enough?
Yeah.
And
Right.
I don't like, in all honesty, I am not the type of guy, an analytic guy, to suggest that I am numbers driven.
Sure.
80 points, 90 points, 95. Matthews, 50 goals, 60 goals, 70 goals.
Yeah, he's going to do it.
I don't really care.
Yeah.
I only care on the effect it has on the team, and how moving forward, it's a factor.
Yes.
And you give me 70 goals this year, and they can't get out of the first round. I don't give a crap about a 70 goals. I'm not that impressed.
Yeah.
Completely fair.
Okay? Let everybody else be impressed. It's far beyond that for the Toronto Maple Leafs. If this is as high as your bar gets, that you have an individual player who has elite status as a individual award winner or a record breaker, good. Let's be far beyond that. This is about winning and losing a Stanley Cup.
I agree, Kipper. I think my thing is, I think a huge part of that contract and the desire for him coming into this organization was they thought and hoped he was going to be a Bergeron, a Stamkos, a Crosby, who was that leader that was going to take Matthews and Marner and Nylander and Morgan Riley and go, guys, I'm your captain. This is how we're going to do this, and this is how we're going to get out of the first round and win a Stanley Cup. And it's easy to say this now, but he just has not been that. And I think that is where the contract is the biggest upset, because not the points. To me, it's I think there was this general attitude that he could be the guy that was going to be that veteran leader that was going to lead them, and it just hasn't happened yet. So I think that's why it burns.
So just to touch base and kind of put a blanket over both Matthews and Tavares, if Tavares is able to get back to an 80-point pace, whether or not, to me, is more the optics of, am I watching a guy now get back and be a little bit more dominant when he's on the ice? Am I seeing a guy that can control a tempo of the game when he's on the ice? Where's his pace of play? Where is he on a forecheck? Where is he in his own zone? How much time is he spending in his own zone compared to the offensive zone? That, to me, is the tail.
Yeah.
And the same thing with Austin. And Austin, we know he can shoot a puck in the net, but where is he, in terms of making players around him better or feel better?
Yeah.
And that's what the great players do. They don't just put up points. They get their team to feel a little better about themselves. I've never seen Connor McDavid better at making his team feel better than we do right now.
Yeah.
And what's he on pace for? 38 goals, 40 goals. Well, he scored 62 last year, right? And it's like, I'll take him right now on a 40,
so will everyone
40 goal
Edmonton.
pace than what we saw the last few years.
Definitely.
And he's starting to get it.
Yeah.
And I do the Real Kipper and Bourne show, and the boys are, they're excited about Austin's 70 goals. And I'm like, what about his 30 assist pace?
Yeah.
Like, do I want the second best player in the world or the highest paid player in the world right now finishing the year with 30 assists? He's my number one center. Center's supposed to be the guy, the pivotal guy who controls the pace of play and can dish the puck. And that's, to me, it's like, I don't want to see 70-30 splits for
it's such
Austin
a good point.
Matthews.
I didn't really think about
I'm
that.
sorry.
We had a conversation with Chelios the other day about possible MVPs, and you brought up if
And
he
Chelly
scores
agreed,
70,
though,
and my whole thing, I was like, I don't give a shit if he scores 70 and he has 30 apples. I don't think that is an MVP.
Yeah.
I think that's a Richard winner, and
Yeah,
get it. But
You want to crown him the best goal scorer, the best shooter.
he is. But
You want to talk about MVP and best player in the league? No, Austin's got to balance his game out.
Yeah.
Because I was giving Gretzky, I was giving Ovechkin the same chirps early in his career.
Yep,
When
you were.
I was like, whatever, he's a goal scoring machine, and he's maybe the best to ever do it. Who knows? But he was never the MVP to me, and I'm like, I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth.
No,
I'm
but
backing up Austin.
And the year he leveled it out, worked on his defensive game and his distribution, they won the cup.
Yep.
So
Okay, so here's the meat of it, because I'm really interested to hear your take on this. The 80 goals as Bruins fans, we've been, watching the Leafs kind of do their thing here and there in the first round of the playoffs. I was fascinated to read your most recent piece that was like, what should the Leafs do at the deadline? Because to me, I'm like, dude, you just committed to Willie. Austin's going to score 70. And I know we're short on assets and Dubas is gone, but in what world are you not taking a shot at this? But to hear you even entertain the conversation of like, listen, maybe it's time to sell off some stuff here. So talk to us a little bit about the thought process on that.
Well, there is no right or wrong answer.
Correct.
And I could sit here and you can win me over in about 10 seconds that they got to do this now.
Yeah.
Okay. But as we know, and we've just recently seen, trades are very difficult. We just saw Calgary and Vancouver get together with one and a good trade, but one that puts Calgary in the seller's market and the retool market, rebuild, whatever you want to call it, and Vancouver in a situation that they have assets to do that. The Leafs do not have the assets right now to pull off a Lindholm type of trade unless they seriously go big or go home. And we just got to see where that falls into place here. There's a lot of different dynamics here, guys, that also falls into place. And that is, to your point, Dubas leaves town. So have a lot of first rounders on rental players like Foligno and Ryan O'Reilly. McCabe was an asset that had an additional year. So those assets were easier to kind of swallow, but they can't go and rent a player again like that. So where are you on your pressure points here? So that's a new guy in Brad Treliving and an older guy in Brendan Shanahan, who's been around here for 10 years and is looking for a chance to get out of the second round for the first time since he's been named president. So I think there's some pressure points there and could easily sway into, I don't care what assets you have. You gotta bring Toronto fans some hope here as early as this year.
Because don't the fans riot if you guys are like, we're not making any moves, we're trading people off. I'm like, oh my God.
That's the thing, though. It's like, they'll riot, but they're still showing up.
They like to rumor that they could riot. But since 1967, they've been a little soft.
Very
that's
true.
What I'm saying. They're going to bitch and moan, but they still show up and buy season tickets.
Oh, for sure.
That's the crazy thing about it. If you were to say, let's live in the world where something huge happened, who would you think would be on the move?
Well, I do believe that the Nylander contract has now put a lot of questions into Mitch Marner's future.
Agree.
But it doesn't have to be answered as early as this trade deadline. It could be revisited in the summer. But I would think that a lack of success again this year would really put Marner's name out there.
Yeah, I agree. And it's like we said, yes, it's not until after next season, but when you think about that new deal for him coming up, that I think that asks those questions even harder. It's like,
And it's not going to be an easy signing. He wants a raise.
Yeah, for sure.
Everybody wants a raise.
Exactly.
So, and his numbers have been better probably than Austin Matthews, with the exception of, the goals.
Not to mention he's a Selke caliber player too. He does it in both ends of the ice, and it's like, the
last 5 years he's been a top 5 point producer. He's been up there with all the big boys. So there's going to be some teams that say, listen, if you don't want him, then we'll happily take him off your hands. We'll happily take him off your hands.
So here's one we had for you. Last season, we obviously saw them get into the playoffs. They draw Tampa, which is a disaster. And we had said a bunch of times, if they don't get out of the first round, heads have to roll here. They obviously do, and then a quick exit in the second. We were shocked to see that Dubas was the one who got the axe. I thought Keefe was toast. And I want your opinion on that. And then also, we were kind of looking around the league a couple weeks ago at some coaches that were on the hot seat, and I named Keefe as one of them because I think it's crazy that this team has this level of talent we've been talking about, some of the most highly paid players in the league, and they're currently just kind of floundering at fourth in the Atlantic, and no one's talking about it. And I just want to know where you stand on that.
Is it a get out of the second round to keep his job? Are we in that situation? Like any less than that, there's a coaching change, or is it not that intense?
Well, I'm a big believer sometimes in not if you lose, but how you lose.
Fair.
Totally.
So is it that we're just not good enough? Did you squeeze everything out of the guys? that has to be seen first of all. So I do believe that even though Sheldon Keefe has a new contract extension that doesn't kick in till next season, that I don't think they really care one way or another. If they believe that he's not the guy to move forward, they'll make changes. So there's that pressure on Sheldon once again for sure. Now we'll have to just see again where the dynamics are above, and if we are talking about a potential coaching change, who gets to make that coaching change?
Yeah.
Is it still Brendan Shanahan?
Totally.
Is it still Brad Treliving? We do know that there's going to be a new CEO of MLSC. In the past, it's been Masai on the Raptors side and Brendan Shanahan on the Leafs side that reports to the board of directors. That's not the case anymore. Now they got a new boss.
Yeah.
And his name's Keith Pelly. So where's Keith in this equation?
Yeah.
He's a new guy. Does he come in and say, "Hey, I'm just new. I need a year and a half to get my feet wet"?
Totally.
Or does he come in there and say, "Well, they're screaming. It's been 10 years. He's not out of the first round.
Yeah.
I got to do
Pretty easy
something.
decision.
Yeah.
Make a change.
Right?
Yep.
I'm coming in.
Yeah.
I'm not coming in quiet.
Yep.
So all of those things have to kind of sort themselves out.
Yeah.
So before you get to Sheldon, I think you got to ask, okay, is it Brendan still moving forward?
Yeah.
So now Brendan's now going into year 11, not out of the second round. And does he get a chance to fix this thing up a bit? Does he get a chance to trade Mitch Marner potentially? Or are you swinging in another direction? So lots of things.
So many moving pieces. In
So
this
many
equation.
moving
It's
pieces
crazy.
in this equation. So, and that even goes back to the trade deadline.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
great
absolutely.
point.
Like,
Great point.
If Brendan is comfortable enough to think that I can hold off for a year and come back harder next year, and I'm telling my board that, and I'm telling Keith Pelly that, or do they go, no.
Yeah.
Yep.
No.
You've had enough chances, actually.
I think my last one is, do you think Bertuzzi survives the deadline?
I will say this, that when we watch the trade deadline and we watch TSN and Sportsnet and Elliot Friedman and all of them, they got their trade deadline
trade board
list.
and all,
And
yeah.
everybody keeps focusing on that, but that's not the way general managers think. They got their own lists, and it's like with RFAs and entry level players, and there's a lot of moving parts
Definitely.
to a trade deadline. And I think there's an opportunity still for the Leafs not to focus on Chris Tanev or any of the names that you're hearing, but go and find another McCabe deal that if you give up assets like a first rounder or somebody else that you're getting of equal value or better with long term. So I look at Bertuzzi right now, and if they're not interested in re-signing him, yes, I think he could be something that could be in play, part of a bigger package.
interesting.
Not just get rid of him.
Not like a 1-for-1.
No,
I like that a
This
lot.
is him out and being replaced of some
that a lot.
significance at all. And to me, I don't see the Leafs just grabbing somebody, for a fourth round pick or moving Bertuzzi out to bring back a third rounder.
Yeah.
I see Bertuzzi out and someone coming in immediately and replacing.
Yeah.
Trying to make a shot. Take
Right.
a shot.
Yes.
That's what I would think too. I think, I mean, it's like, to me, it's that he's gone through patches here and there, but it feels like it hasn't been the best fit for him.
Yeah.
And that might just be one of those deals that's like him out, one in. It's going to be a better situation for both of you.
You know, the other thing too is like if you take a look at the last 3, 4, 5 years, maybe with the exception of Bunting, tell me a left winger that's thrived for the Leafs.
My God, I had the same. You wrote about this too. I had the same
Absolutely.
thought.
So, again, I'm not, I look
Goes
at,
back to Darcy Tucker, I think.
well, listen, and again, not to go back on Tavares and Matthews, but those guys are shooters. They're goal scorers, and they're not playmakers, and they're not, and it just seems like left wingers come here to die.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah.
And it's
Who's
hard.
Matty
It's just-
Nyes? Who's Matty Nyes got the most
Matty
points?
Nyes, predominantly been playing with Marner,
Yeah, yeah.
Matthews, Tavares at times. I mean, he's scheduled. He's on pace for like 35 points.
Yeah.
40 points. And listen, I'm a big believer. Those type of kids coming out of college, you got to protect them. You can't just pull them out of college and say, hey, can you give me 65 points?
Yeah, right.
You're playing with two of the best players in the world.
No.
What's wrong with you? You can't put up 65
Should be easy, right?
with a blindfold. Just doesn't work that way.
No, not at all.
So it just seems that, again, if maybe perhaps there was a centerman that was more conducive to being a natural passer, then perhaps his numbers would look better. There are times when I've watched him, and I don't mind him at all. He's a little spunky out there.
Yeah, he is.
He gets a stick in there. He can make some nice, decent passes, but it doesn't make him feel any better knowing that his numbers don't support a guy making over $5 million.
Right.
Especially in the market he's in, right? It's like
Absolutely.
the pressure is not going to alleviate itself anytime soon. So,
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
All right, well, it's going to be a very interesting end of the season for the Leafs.
Yes.
This has been awesome, Kypes. But the last thing, we're going to go around the circle, starting with you. How far do the Leafs make it this year?
Oh, wow. First round.
Oh, I'm going second round, but second round exit.
Yeah. Do we know for sure if they're playing the Florida Panthers?
That's kind of what I was banking on.
Are they playing Florida in the first or second round?
Yeah, if they're playing Florida in the first, which is what I'm banking on, I don't think it's getting past the first.
Yeah, God.
Vasilevsky be as bad as he was in that first round, too?
God, I don't think so, right?
Because he's looking a lot better now.
They're staring down the barrel of such a bad first round matchup.
Name any three of those teams.
It's awful. It's
know,
truly
I think they
Florida,
match.
Tampa?
I think they see the second round if they play the Boston Bruins.
I actually don't hate that
I don't
call.
hate that either. Actually, you know
I
what?
just think they match up against Boston.
Yep.
They do. I just think the goaltending, which has been Boston's identity all year, that's going to be hard to beat in the first
Goaltending,
round.
yeah,
In the first
yeah.
round.
Yeah.
But, oof, yeah.
So what do you think? First
Tough
round
sled.
exit?
No, I'll go second round.
Okay, fair enough.
But either way,
Hey.
they're not getting past the second.
Take Boston, though.
Yeah.
Don't be in such a hurry to finish third in the Atlantic.
Yeah, agree. You kidding me? Yep.
That's a good point. It's a very good point. Kipper, this has been such a blast.
Yeah,
Thank you so
enjoyed
much
it.
for coming on. Hopefully we can do more of this.
Yeah.
For sure.
Because, we'd love
You let
to-
me know.
And before we let you go, is there anything you want to plug? Anything you want to shout out?
No, it's all good. I know my beverage company is called Little Buddha. We're in the States.
There you
We're
go.
in
Awesome.
Florida.
Hey, okay.
Can you tell us a little bit about that real quick?
Yeah, it's an all organic RTD, which is a ready to drink in a can.
Yeah.
No sugar, no preservatives.
What's the alcohol in it?
4%.
And is it like a beer? Is it a
It's
vodka?
a vodka.
It's
Premium-
a vodka.
Premium vodka.
Okay.
Awesome.
Organic.
Hell yeah.
And it's everywhere in Florida. We're going to be down there soon.
Very
We're
soon.
in Total Wines in Florida. So we're
Fantastic.
excited.
Okay, we'll
gonna
check
check it
that out. Unbelievable. And then everyone tune into your articles, your shows,
Thank
all
you.
that. And truly would love to have you back on
Oh,
soon.
no.
'cause
Yeah.
this is
Done
the
deal,
best.
guys.
Thank you so much.
Awesome.
Appreciate it.
Awesome.
Great stuff. Thanks, brother.
We have got a sick BetMGM promotion running for you guys. It's from now all the way up until the big game, Super Bowl Sunday. I know that's not the big game in our world, but that's the big game to the rest of the world. So from now up until Super Bowl Sunday, if you bet $5, you get $158 instantly. And you can bet that on all the hockey money lines you want. All you have to do is type in the promo code NETTERS158. That's NETTERS 158 and get this thing going. BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. 21 plus to wager. U.S. promotional offers not available in D.C., New York, or Ontario. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. For Colorado, D.C., Illinois, Indiana, Kansas, Kentucky, Louisiana, Maryland, Mississippi, New Jersey, Nevada, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Virginia, West Virginia, Wyoming. Call 877-8-HOPE-NY for New York. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP for Arizona. 1-800-327-5050 for Massachusetts. 1-800-BETS-OFF for Iowa. 1-800-270-7117 for confidential help in Michigan in partnership with Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel.
Huge thanks to Bobby Ryan. Huge thanks to Nick Kypreos. And huge thanks to the Gretzky fam hooking us up with that unbelievable setup in Gretzky's basement in Toronto. Just such a good time. Loved every second of all of it.
Me too. I hope you guys like the newsy parts of the interviews. I thought they
Yeah.
just had such awesome insight. It's really cool
Same.
to get to talk to people like that. And pumped to keep ripping that inside the locker room segment with Bobby. I think you guys are going to have fun with that one.
It's going to be great. We are hitting the road a bunch here coming up. We'll be heading to Detroit later this week. Going to be there on the weekend. A lot of cool stuff coming up there, so keep your eyes peeled. We're going to be getting back into saucy predictions next week. All-Star break gave us a nice little break.
Yeah,
but
my palate needed it.
We're not doing well, so I need to start tightening up those predictions. But join us on all this travel coming up. Hope you guys enjoyed everything that came from All-Star Weekend. It's been so fun for us, and just another huge shout-out to all of you guys. You're the absolute best. everyone we met in Toronto, we love you. Thanks so much for coming up. Go to our YouTube, guys. Like, subscribe, pump those numbers up. Let's keep building the fam. Until we see you next time.
Skate hard.